Busch Grand National points leader. He's won 5 series races. This is Mark Martin, the Winston Cup star, who is the all-time Busch Series winner with 44 career victories. Busch Series racing is as breathtaking, as competitive as any to be seen. For some, it's the ultimate. For others, it's the final step to the Winston Cup. For everyone, it's as spectacular as it gets. Today, Kentucky's Jeff Green is the David challenging the Goliath Mark Martin. It's one of the series' richest, most prestigious events. A field of 43 cars ready to fly on the high banks of Lowe's Motor Speedway. Live at Lowe's Motor Speedway, moments to the start of the Carquest Auto Parts 300. Let's get the latest update on the all-time Busch winner. Marty Snyder standing by.
Well, Ken, you ask the teams, the crew chiefs, and the drivers, they all say Mark Martin is the man to beat today. You ask Mark Martin if he's the man to beat, he says no. Now, maybe he's just sandbagging, but as one driver put it to me this morning, you beat Mark Martin, you'll beat everybody today.
And a good day, everyone. Some 60,000 gathering here on this Memorial Weekend for the commencement to activities that will conclude with the running of the 41st Coca-Cola 600 tomorrow, which you'll see on the Superstation commencing at 6 o'clock. Here's some of the congregation today that have gathered for this start, 43 strong from the Busch Grand National ranks. What a race we're going to have. Let's go to the pole sitter story. Here's Mike Massaro.
Thanks, Ken. And with a lap time of 177.328 miles per hour, Dave Blaney set a new track record and pulled off the upset in Bud Pole qualifying, shuffling Mark Martin to the outside row. But the big question is, what does he need to do to pull off the upset in the race? I spoke with him just before he strapped himself into the AT&T Pontiac. He said he needs an absolutely perfect race car and needs to show a lot of patience in order to win the Carquest 300. To Ken Squire.
So the Buckeye Bullet is ready to roll from the top spot. He's only won one Grand National race, that in Atlanta, when Mike Skinner had his number taken down for an illegal part. Today he hopes to make up for that, and he has one of the finest crew chiefs in the game, Steve Bird, who's won the national championship. He won it with Moroso. He won it more recently with Randy LaJoie a couple of times. That's going to be a strong car today for sure. We're getting set for this start. The 43 entries are about to go, but there'll be a couple of cars that will drop to the rear. One of them to Hank Parker. He had a terrible crash yesterday, wiped out his primary car, and we're going to see him fall to the back of the field. Now, don't forget tomorrow evening, 5:35, we'll be on the air to bring you pre-race. Then we'll bring you the 600 at 6:15. We're just about ready for the command to fire engines today and get this Memorial Weekend underway in Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's go trackside for the command to get it underway.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
It's way down. The puck is so loud. 200 laps, 300 miles. Let's go topside with the folks who'll make the call today. Here's Alan Bestwick.
Ken, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Looking forward to bringing you a terrific 300-miler this afternoon. This is the 13th race for the NASCAR Busch Series this season. 7 different drivers have won in 12 events. But when Mark Martin has been in the field, he has been dominant so far. Joining me for the call of today's race, 4 times a winner in Winston Cup competition here in Charlotte, Buddy Baker. Buddy, what about it? When Mark's been in the field, he's been tough. Can any of these other 42 guys do something with him today?
Alan, you're bringing up a good point. Mark Martin has dominated here. He's won some races, but he's never won them by very much. Jimmy Spencer has beat him in a last lap run here, so he's not the only guy here. And I was in the garage this morning. You know what they told me? The guy to watch, his teammate, Jeff Burton.
Also joining me for the call of today's race, you've seen him in victory lane 3 times in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series a year ago in his rookie season. He's also done a time or 2 here at Charlotte in a NASCAR Busch Series machine, and he's one of the guys who's given Mark Martin fits here before trying to get to victory lane. We welcome Tony Stewart to the broadcast. Great to have you with us. You were on the racetrack earlier today in your Winston Cup machine during practice. It's 90 degrees. It's humid. What kind of conditions do these drivers face today?
Very difficult conditions. We were out very early this morning and the cars were sliding around all over the place, and that's with the Winston Cup cars. You can imagine now that we've had 3 or 4 more hours of sunshine on the racetrack. It's bringing all the grease out of the rubber on the racetrack. Also, we've got very high winds today. It makes the cars very sensitive aero-wise, so guys that are searching for grip on this racetrack are going to have a tough time today, so it's going to make for a very exciting race.
Tony, look forward to getting your input throughout the broadcast. Before the cars roll off, let's go down to pit road and get some more of the stories that we'll be following in today's race. Here's Marty Snyder.
Well, guys, recently 25-year-old Hank Parker has been on a roll with 2 top 10s in the last 3 races. And after he qualified 10th in a brand new car Thursday, Hank felt like he had a shot to get his first career win this weekend. But yesterday in happy hour, Hank Parker wrecked his primary car, and after 2 precautionary doctor visits, he has been cleared to race today. But Hank Parker will have to start at the rear of the field in a backup car. And the hopes of getting that first career win this weekend have been greatly diminished. To Mike Hogwood.
Thanks, Marty. Jeff Green is the Busch Series points leader, but today he starts 26th. However, in the final Busch Series practice, he was 3rd quickest. I asked him about his strategy. He says he wants to let the race settle in for a couple of laps, but he says by the time this race is 30 laps old, he wants to be up with the top 10 and challenging the leaders. Now to Mike Massaro.
Well, guys, up to this point in the 2000 season, Jeff Gordon hadn't started better than 27th in either of his 2 Busch Series starts. But today, he rolls off 6th and has some strong escorts through the field. On the outside row, directly in front of Jeff Gordon, are Jeff Burton and Mark Martin. And with that kind of help, Jeff Gordon is once again a threat here to win at the Lowe's Motor Speedway.
Let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's race. 43 strong in the field for this afternoon's Carquest Auto Parts 300. And on pole, we talked about him just a moment ago, would be Dave Blaney. The Buckeye Bullet from Ohio, scoring his 2nd Busch Series pole here in Charlotte. His 3rd Busch pole for Dave, 3rd Busch race in this season for Dave Blaney. And there's Mark Martin alongside winner of the last 2 editions of this race. Elton Sawyer has his best start of 2000 in row 2 alongside Jeff Burton, one of only 2 men to beat Mark Martin head-to-head this season. Row number 3, Matt Kenseth, 2 wins already in 2000 in the Busch Series, and Jeff Gordon, a 2-time winner in competition Busch Series-wise here at Charlotte. Row 4, Blaze Alexander from Pennsylvania, and Kevin LePage from Vermont. He finished 3rd in Atlanta earlier this year. Todd Bodine, 2nd in points, is in row 4 alongside the Hank Parker Jr. car that Ken Squire told you will drop to the back of the field. This is a backup machine. Row 5, make that row 6 rather, Mike Skinner is to the inside of Kenny Irwin. Skinner in his 2nd race with the Andy Petrie team. Row number 7, Mike Dillon had his best Lowe's result last October, a 12th place run, and the 97 winner of this event, Joe Nemechek. Row number 8, it's Bobby Hamilton Jr., the 2nd generation driver, and another fellow Nashville native, Chad Chaffin, a former Nashville Speedway champion. Row number 9, it's Lyndon Amick from South Carolina, won an ARCA race here 1 week ago today, and Jay Sauter. Row number 10, Lance Hooper in his 1st race of 2000, and Jimmy Spencer, also his 1st race of this year. He's a former winner at this racetrack. Row number 11, Mike Stefanik, the former modified champion, and Tim Fedewa, the most recent race winner in the NASCAR Busch Series. Row number 12, Jason Leffler getting ready to head to Indianapolis to run the 500 there tomorrow, and Buckshot Jones in a Chevrolet. Row number 13, Glenn Allen, and the current point leader for the NASCAR Busch Series, Jeff Green. A long way to go from middle of the field there for him. Wisconsin veteran Dick Trickle alongside former Charlotte winner Mike McLaughlin back in row 14. Couple of Winston Cup aces, Kenny Wallace and Chad Little in row 15. Row 16, the youngster Casey Atwood out of Nashville, and the veteran David Green alongside. Row 17, Jason Jarrett and Ward Burton, who raced from the back up to 6th place last October here. Row number 18, Kentucky driver Darrell Lanigan back in the Busch Series alongside Ron Hornaday. It's Randy LaJoie, the Nashville winner and 2-time series champ, in row 19 alongside Jason Keller. Row 20, rookie Kevin Harvick and young Virginian Kevin Grubb. Row 21, the 94 winner of this race, Phil Parsons alongside Tony Raines, and rookie Jimmy Johnson rounds out the field. He'll start in 43rd position. Our race analysis.
Well, the event today is 200 laps, 300 miles, mile and a half quad oval. You see the pole speed there, 177.608. New record.
Now let's take a look at those with whom we will ride today. Ward Burton starts back in 34th position. He'll be slicing his way up through traffic. We'll also ride with the point leader, Jeff Green. He's starting 26th today. Joe Nemechek will give us a ride. He's starting in 14th position outside of row 7. We'll also be with Matt Kenseth, who has 2 Busch Series wins already this year. He's starting in the 5th position. And the last 2 times this race has been run, it has been won by one Mark Martin. And we ride with him today as well from the outside of the front row as he seeks yet another NASCAR Busch Series win in this 300-mile chase. Tony, final half lap before the start. Drivers' thoughts, what are they thinking? What are they getting ready to do in these first couple of laps?
Well, basically, they're going to take this first segment. They're going to feel out their race cars. There's been a lot of practice yesterday. We had an hour of practice with the Winston Cup cars this morning. Very hot conditions. This track is going to become very slippery very quickly. So these guys are going to let each other sort the race out a little bit, and also at the same time make sure that they're staying with the balance of the race car early in the race.
78% humidity on an 83-degree day. Forecast is for the temperature to eventually peak around 90 later this afternoon. You see some clouds overhead, and those clouds really do affect handling conditions on this racetrack. I'm sure we'll talk more about that fairly soon on in our coverage of this Carquest Auto Parts 300. Great crowd on hand on a beautiful day for racing here in the Carolinas, and the field getting set to go now as they come into turn number 4. Dave Blaney and Mark Martin on the front row, the first of 200 laps. In the Carquest Auto Parts 300, we are delighted you've joined us on Superstation TBS for our live coverage. Pace cars off, and we're set to go. Here they come down to the line, and the green flag goes up in the air, and we are racing at Charlotte. Blaney pokes the nose out in front in turn 2.
Here comes Mark Martin, about a half a car left in the lead as they head off into turn 3. And just behind him, Jeff Burton, a very fast race car. These guys just behind them, you see Jeff Gordon there in the blue car.
Martin leads lap 1. No surprise. He is expected to be the man everyone will have to wrestle with throughout the afternoon. Jeff Burton follows him through to second. Now Blaney left to wrestle with Jeff Gordon for third.
Sometimes with these Busch Series cars, the momentum is the biggest factor because of the lack of horsepower. Blaney's on the bottom. He doesn't have enough room to let the car get up on the outside of the racetrack and keep his momentum up, so it's going to be hard for him to
Whoa, Kenseth, look out. Matt Kenseth way up the track.
There.
It's Blaze Alexander that bounced off Kenseth. Nice job by, excuse me, that's Joe Nemechek that bounced off him.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. was glad to see those guys go straight then. They made contact enough to really upset the car. Bobby Hamilton Jr. on the bottom side, Matt Kenseth in the 17 on the outside there as they go down the back straightaway.
We have trouble off turn number 2. That's Chad Chaffin's car spinning back up into the field.
Yow!
Jason Keller going around. But it looks like everybody's going to get away fairly innocently enough after trouble right in the middle of the field on lap number 2.
I cannot believe that somebody didn't get in the wall there. Apparently we have a little problem here.
That's the Lance Hooper car. You see he's gotten into the wall. The right side sheet metal caved in there, and a hunk of it missing from over the left front tire as well. And I would assume that to be the piece of sheet metal from Lance Hooper's machine.
That's the left front corner there. It certainly is.
Not good on lap number 3.
It's definitely not the way you want to start the race, for sure.
So Mark Martin got out front and has paced the first few laps, but we're under caution rather quickly here, just 3 laps into the event. And that accident with Chad Chaffin, he was right smack in the middle of the field in 16th position, and very fortunate that the second half of the field didn't really get stacked up behind him. Looking at repairs to the Lance Hooper car, missing that left front fender. That's going to affect his car how?
Well, basically, these cars, everybody takes their cars to the wind tunnel early in the season, and they pretty much know what the aero balance is going to be. Running Indy cars, I've got a lot of experience with aero part, but if you watch here.
Well, Chad Chaffin got hit right here coming out of the corner. and to really set it off there, he got tagged from behind. He's trying to get control of the car there, going round and round. Everybody behind him trying to figure out where he's going. He goes back across. Very, very, that's what set Jason Keller off, spinning round and round down the back straightaway.
Wow, that was lucky. A lot of people doing some great driving there.
Absolutely.
So we're under caution very quickly in the Carquest Auto Parts 300. There's Chad Chaffin. He's continued on after the early spin. Back at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Charlotte, early in the Carquest Auto Parts 300, a caution just a couple of laps in after a couple of cars went spinning around on the back straightaway. Let's take another look at it. And Tony, while we were watching the original replay, you had a couple things that you noticed.
We're on board with Jason Keller right here. He's following the wreck. His spotter's telling him there's trouble in front. But at the same time, Chad Chaffin goes down to the bottom of the racetrack. Now he's coming back up. Makes a hard left. It's very hard to do, but this whole time that he's spinning, he never locks the brakes up. He's still driving the car backwards, forwards, keeping control, making sure he's staying in between the outside and inside wall and make sure he doesn't have any body damage that way.
Wow, great job by Jason. Jason came down pit road under the caution. Jay Sauter pitted. Lance Hooper, we showed you getting damage repaired a while ago. And also, there's the Jay Sauter car. He came down pit road, and he's back in 40th position. And also, Chad Chaffin came in under the caution. Let's go to Mike Massaro on pit road.
And now on a report on Jay Sauter, not involved in that crash. However, he did have some problems. The car was slowing. It appeared it was missing, and he was fading off the pace. They brought him in. They found out his spark plug wires were disconnected. They reconnected him. He took another circuit, brought it back in just to make sure they stayed on. They're on very tight now, and he's back on the racetrack. Alan?
One of the great mysteries. You can spend hours preparing a race car, and a spark plug wire can come off right after you get the green flag. Hey, tomorrow on the Superstation, it's the 41st Coca-Cola 600. The action starts at 5:35 with the wrenchhead.com pre-race show. Then at 6:05 Eastern, we crank the engines, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. leads the field to the green. Jeff Burton tries for a repeat $1 million win. It's the Coca-Cola 600 tomorrow here on Superstation TBS. And there's Jeff Burton in today's race, driving his NASCAR Busch Series machine, sitting currently right behind his teammate Mark Martin. And as Buddy talked in the very opening of our broadcast, guy that a lot of people in the garage were telling us this morning may have the faster car of the two. Back at it, green flag.
Kenny Irwin Jr. got a heck of a start there. You're allowed to pass on the outside.
Riding with Kenny Irwin. He's moved up to second spot. Jeff Burton falling back to third.
It's going to be interesting to see what they call on that, but you're not supposed to pass until you get to the flag.
Well, you know what? He's going to get the black flag for jumping the restart. Kenny Irwin going to be penalized. Watch for the flag here as he comes to the start-finish line. And there it is. Black flag for Irwin. He'll have to come to pit road, stop, and then go back out again.
And like Buddy said, you are allowed to pass to the right side before the start-finish line. Anytime that on any of the restarts, as soon as you get to the line, you can go to the left or right. But before, as long as when the flag comes out, you pass to the right, it is allowed.
Watching Irwin, he should slow down here when he comes into turn 4, and Jeff Burton knowing by virtue of communication from his spotter that Irwin has to go for the penalty. Burton goes by into second, and here comes Kenny Irwin down pit road. Can he make this stop and go and not lose a lap, I guess, is the question here.
It'll be close. It'll be very close here. The hard thing is the pit lane speed limit. And for Kenny Irwin, this is the toughest part of having a black flag, is maintaining composure during this stop and go and keeping in this pit lane speed limit all the way through the pit lane.
The fourth place car right there, Kevin LePage, has really made a lot of inroads there. You can see him catching Jeff Gordon right now. The car seems to be handling quite well. And if you can remember, he always runs well on the mile-and-a-half racetrack like this. He runs very well in Atlanta and very well here.
Change for the lead as we look at LePage in fourth place. Jeff Burton has just gone around Mark Martin as they came to the start-finish line. And Burton assumes the top spot. Looked like one of Mark's kind of patented moves of, you've got the faster car, go on by.
Or I want to see what you're doing and let me check you out, and then I'm going to get you again.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the second. The second one was probably more accurate because Mark Martin is a master here. He knows this racetrack better than anybody else, and he's not going to run his car any faster and harder than he has to right now, and he's just not going to show his hand this early in the race.
Well, he does that all the time. I remember the first time I watched him do that, I went, oh, he's got trouble, and he didn't have any trouble. He's just checking out the people and moved right back up to the lead and led for a little while longer.
But you better be awfully confident of your race car if you're going to wave somebody by and say, okay, you lead for a while, I just want to check you out. You better have a lot of confidence in your ability to get back around.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I know it's early in the race, but still.
Well, they're starting to move out of the bottom of the racetrack already. That means they're giving up a little bit of grip already on these tires. The longer you run, the more racetrack you use. And riding right on the bottom of the racetrack is pretty hard to do when the tires start giving up.
Riding with Jeff Green, he has already moved up from his 26th starting spot. And Jeff Green here racing Mike Skinner for 14th.
Now, I want to ask you something. I've noticed that they run very low in 1 and 2, but 3 and 4, they drift up on the racetrack more, as you can see there.
Basically, in turns 1 and 2, the surface is a lot smoother.
Trouble off of turn number 4. Dave Blaney into the outside wall.
Caution's out.
Yeah, he hit very, very hard. You can see the
A lot of oil.
Wow.
Stay real low. That's the 20 car up against the wall there, blowing all the oil.
The pole sitter for today's race in all kinds of trouble.
Hank Parker Jr.
Now, you heard the spotter calling out there, a lot of oil, stay low. Maybe he got into the oil. Jay Sauter has also gotten into it, and he's whapped the outside wall.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, Kenny Irwin did stay ahead of the leaders on this, so he will stay on the lead lap also.
Not a good weekend for Hank Parker Jr. He crashed in yesterday's final practice. This was the backup car. It made it 13 laps into the race.
Jay Sauter, you see the right front of that car way back and turned out to the outside. They'll have to do a lot of work if he plans to ever get back in the race today.
Boy, Blaney's car's a mess.
Yeah,
And the hard part, as soon as that tire comes apart, all that body work's going to get worse than just that little piece right there. It's going to start tearing the fender, the hood, and then it's really going to be a mess.
See Hank Parker Jr. moving around inside his car as the pace car picks up leader Jeff Burton and slows the field. They've got pit road closed right now for the leaders, so we shouldn't see any pit stops for most of the cars that aren't damaged because of where Hank Parker Jr.'s machine sits at the head end of pit road. There's the Parker Jr. car right at the opening to the pit lane. So NASCAR's got pit road closed here.
Dave.
Let's take another look, see if we can see what happened to Dave Blaney up off of turn number 4. There he is.
Okay, that's Blaney in the lead there. You see the back of his car just go out. He didn't. I don't think Todd Bodine got into him. It looked like he was just behind him, maybe loosened him up just a little bit, and he lost control of the car, slid up into the outside wall.
So the pole sitter who was racing Todd Bodine for 5th position is going to go behind the wall as we're under caution early here at Charlotte. Back in Charlotte, the Carquest Auto Parts 300 on Superstation TBS. Mike Skinner, one of a handful of drivers who pitted under this caution. We'll recap those stops in a minute. First, let's go into the garage and Marty Snyder.
And Dave Blaney has walked back into the garage. The damage fairly significant to his AT&T Pontiac. What happened, Dave?
I just lost it. I mean, car was too loose to begin with, and just running too hard, and Todd in the 66 car got right up underneath me there and just got me going, and just should have let him go and rode it until we got it fixed. Michael.
Well, the day is going to be done for these guys. More than likely, the rear end is bent. The trailing arms are bent. That's fairly significant damage. And kind of the typical story for Dave Blaney here. He started 1st, 3rd, and 2nd in his races here at Charlotte. 11th, 19th, and 20th are his finishes today. Will probably be much worse.
Looks like Tim Fido got a piece of that accident as well. Under caution already for the 2nd time in the Carquest 300 at Charlotte. The Circuit City aerial platform providing our overhead shots today. And a beautiful day it is here in the Carolinas Queen City for our 300-miler. This weekend, log on to tbssuperstation.com and follow live in-car camera action for the Carquest Auto Parts 300 as well as tomorrow's Coca-Cola 600. Before we go green to pit road and Mike Hogwood.
At the top of the broadcast, Alan, we talked about Jeff Green, his goal to be in the top 10 by lap 30. He started 26th. He's now running 13th. He's knocked off 13 positions here early in the race.
As we set for the restart, let me tell you that Mike Skinner, Chad Chaffin, Tim Fidoa, Kenny Irwin, Randy LaJoy, also the Jimmy Johnson, Phil Parsons, Jason Jarrett, Jason Leffler, Kevin Grubb, and Tony Raines cars pitted under the caution flag behind the wall. Lance Hooper, Dave Blaney, Hank Parker, and Jay Sauter, and we're back at it once again. See if we can get a couple more laps this time under the green flag.
Well, we certainly hope so, but what a great start that Burton got there as they dropped the green flag. He and Mark Martin.
Down in turn 4, this is Kevin LePage going after third spot on Jeff Gordon while the lead changes hands in front of them.
Can you imagine that? Mark Martin taking the lead again after dropping back, checking him out for tough. Well, we have a great race right now for third place there. They've been side by side for a full lap now.
Kevin LePage on the move. He started the race back in 8th position. He's trying to take third from Jeff Gordon. Todd Bodine is right there with him as well.
Todd Bodine's trying to figure out which one he wants to go with. There's drafting on this racetrack because you're running 190 miles an hour at the end of the straightaways here.
Gordon and his familiar number 24 up to the outside. He'll hold on to that third spot. Now LePage down to the bottom side is left to fight with Todd Bodine. Bodine will get around LePage, so obviously Kevin's car didn't want to stick down at the bottom.
Well, what he did, and I was just talking about it, he got no help whatsoever from anyone. He dropped over, and of course Todd Bodine went with Jeff Gordon, and it just pushed him right on by.
Here goes Jeff Burton to the outside of Mark Martin for the race lead. Change it again. Burton out in front.
There ought to be music with this.
Okay. So Burton to the lead. Martin falls back to second. And they put a little bit of an interval back to third place, Jeff Gordon.
Well,
Not much of one, but a little bit.
If Jeff Gordon's car is handling pretty well, those guys should run these two down because they're really nose to tail a lot closer than first and second right at the moment.
This is a very fast racetrack.
Yes, it is. Very quick. The Winston Cup cars run in the 180s, the Busch cars in the upper 170s. But when it gets slippery like this, you're going to see the speeds drop off dramatically in the long run. This will be the first time that these guys have had an opportunity to let the tires really get hot, and they're going to get slippery here in a little while.
Last week we had telemetry, and what surprised me was the 191 going into turn 1, about 187, 88 down the back straightaway for Winston Cup. But then, like you say, as soon as the tires got hot, dropped 10 miles an hour.
Here comes the point leader, Jeff Green, in that bright yellow car left of your screen. He's trying to get himself into the top 10. Working on Blaze. Actually, he's into the top 10. He's working on 9th spot there from Blaze Alexander in the 81.
His car is stuck to the bottom right there, and that's what you need early in this race. If you're able to keep your car to the bottom like that, normally you're going to be pretty good in the long run.
Started in 26th position. Racing here for 9th side by side. And by. So Green up to the 9th spot. Joe Nemechek trying to follow him up through traffic. Nemechek started back in 14th position. He's running in the 11th spot right now. That's Blaze Alexander's car just ahead of Nemechek's. We've got some telemetry on board the Joe Nemechek car. We'll get a look at that a little bit later on in the day and find out just how his car performs. Peak speeds at the end of the straightaways, where he's touching the brake and so on. We look forward to that.
I tell you, you can listen to the car in the corners. He's backing out of it a good distance, getting in there, but that's only to let it get good grip. If you run too hard, it'll make it go up the racetrack. So that's why you hear them backing off as much as they do, to let the car do a lot of work.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. next in the victim's line, if you will, for Jeff Green. As we look farther up front, here's Elton Sawyer in the white and blue car trying to hold off Matt Kenseth. This would be for 6th and 7th spot. There's Jeff Green making the pass on Hamilton Jr. So Green is really tearing up through the field. That'll put him up to 8th position. And we're only 27 laps into the race. Jeff Burton is the race leader. He and Mark Martin trading the top spot 4 times between them in the opening 27 laps of today's Carquest 300. In Charlotte, caution again. That is Kenny Wallace's machine that has made contact with the wall. Yellow flag for the 3rd time already in this event.
Left side of that car, a lot of damage all the way back.
Boy, it's been a trouble-filled opening 30 laps of this race. We're only at lap 32 now, and already we're seeing caution here for the 3rd time. Kenny Wallace, the Winston Cup veteran, starting back in 29th position. He was running in 25th at the time of the accident up in turn number 2.
Doesn't look like he made contact with the wall, but you see the donut on the door there, right where the 5 is on the 25. He's made contact with somebody, but I don't think he actually hit the wall anywhere. It was probably contact from the car.
Take another look at it. Here's Kenny racing Mike Stefanik.
Mike Stefanik on the outside. You see the back just start wiggling like that. Jimmy Johnson goes to the bottom. They make contact. That's the donut on the door, you see. Tremendous contact there. He was very lucky nobody caught him in the door after he really got slow there.
Very true.
I'm impressed, Stuart. You can just look at the wreck on a car and tell what he hit and what he didn't hit.
Trust me, I've crashed enough race cars to know at this point in my career.
Here come most of the leaders onto pit road. Jeff Burton has stayed on the racetrack, as well as Matt Kenseth. So the leader in the 5th place car have stayed out. Everybody else is coming down pit road for service at lap number 33. There's Jeff Gordon to his stall. Crew going to work on the right side of the Gordon machine. Didn't look like they were making any adjustments there that we could see visibly anyway, maybe just some air pressure.
And they'll actually do that before Jeff actually gets to his pit stall. The tire pressure guy will actually get the job done before they even change the tires.
17.3, good.
Not too bad.
Todd Bodine in.
Wow, I'm telling you, Jeff Gordon had a great stop. He beat everybody back onto the racetrack.
There's Kenny Irwin, who did stay on the lead lap when he got that stop-and-go penalty for jumping the first restart of the race.
Could I take that back? There's 3 people on the back straightaway I did not see that's already out there.
Yeah, well, Jeff Burton, I said that just a second ago. Jeff Burton and Matt Kenseth stayed out. And the other car there, the Kevin Grubb machine, he's a lap down. So he had to stay out on the first lap of caution as well. How about the decision for Burton to stay out as well as Kenseth? 30-some laps on the tires? What do you think?
I'd be a little bit nervous at this point. It'll be interesting. This will give everybody a good indication of how valuable fresh tires are at this point in the race. With 30-some-odd laps on the tires, it's really, we'll see how much disparity as far as how fresh tires versus old tires really plays effect.
We'll find that out when we get the restart in just a couple of more moments. Now, though, we'll take a break. We're under caution for the 3rd time at Charlotte. It's 300, less than a lap from the restart. Let's get some quick updates on those pit stops we saw a moment ago. Marty Snyder.
Well, Mark Martin came in. His car was a little tight, which means it does not want to turn in the corners. They added 1.5 pounds to the right rear. That should loosen him up, especially into the corners. And as well, Jeff Burton did not come down pit road. I asked Tommy Morgan, his crew chief, why. He said it's just too early. Let's go to Mike Hogwood.
Oh, we're in Jeff Gordon's pit, where all they did was take 4 tires and fuel. They did make a slight air pressure adjustment, but Jeff says he is really happy with the way the car is running. As for Jeff Green, who has been knocking off cars since the beginning of this race, they made no adjustment. 4 tires and fuels. They are really happy with that car. Mike Massaro.
Well, one driver who meant to stop but missed his opportunity was Matt Kenseth. Had every intention of coming down pit road with the rest of the leaders, but had a miscommunication with his team. Therefore was stopped on the racetrack and now has decided to stay out there until the next caution.
Green flag in the air. We're back racing with Kenseth in 2nd behind leader Jeff Burton. The Kevin Grubb machine, the green-nosed car to the inside, is a lap down as they zip off into the corner. And leaders quickly dispose of him. Here's Kenseth going to look after the lead on Jeff Burton. Side by side, Kenseth down low, Burton up high. The car of Jeff Gordon with 4 fresh tires right behind them.
Todd Bodine there just behind them in the 66. He's running a very, very good race. That car is working well, too, as their leaders still side by side as they head for the back straightaway.
That's a full 1.5 miles now. Nobody's gotten the advantage yet. And still, they're drag racing. Now Gordon and Bodine going to get double wide for 3rd and 4th behind the leaders.
I noticed Bodine's car moving up just a little bit as he entered 3 there. That's usually a sign that he's a little bit loose, but Mark Martin now right on the back bumper.
So after nearly 2 laps double wide, finally Burton wins out in that race for the lead. Kenseth settles in line behind him in 2nd. That's Gordon in 3rd. Todd Bodine there in 4th. Right behind Bodine would be Mark Martin in 5th. There's Mark in the 5th spot.
You can see new tires right on the bottom all the way through 3 and 4.
3 wide off turn number 4. LePage, Dillon, Nemechek.
I think he was probably happy to see that gap there to the right side and get back to 2 wide. Nobody wants to be 3 wide here.
Looking ahead at that race from Ward Burton's machine.
Makes you a little homesick. I've been down that back straightaway a million times like that. Great race here. Todd go down on the bottom. Mark Martin just behind him in the 60. Jeff Gordon on the outside.
This is for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. O'Ryan inside, Gordon outside, Martin lurking behind. And he slides to the inside of Jeff Gordon. Martin does.
And new tires are such a luxury. You can see Jeff Gordon already 5, 6 car lengths back. Here comes Martin on the inside again.
We say it's a luxury, but look at the 2 leaders. They've been out on 35-lap tires, and the leaders can't even touch them right now. So I'm not sure that it's been such a luxury up to this point.
Just wait till he breaks by this bunch here. They've been running side by side. You just wait and see if he don't close right in. And Mark Martin's smart enough not to just use his tires up in a hurry here.
Martin to 3rd, clearing the Todd Bodine car. Now he would be the first one on the racetrack with the fresher tires and will begin to try and chase off to catch Matt Kenseth in 2nd and Jeff Burton in 1st. A couple of cars moving up in the early 40-lap point of this race who have made dramatic progress from the back of the field. Jason Keller is up to the 11th spot, Kevin Harvick to 6th, and we suspect the Harvick machine and maybe even Keller. I'm not sure about Keller. We suspect Harvick took only 2 tires on that pit stop. I want to get our pit reporters to follow up on that here in just a minute and let us know for sure. But I suspect that Harvick took only 2 tires on his stop. Blaney, of course, is in the garage area. The crash earlier in the event at turn number 4.
Jeff Burton in the 9 there down into turn 3. And he's looking in the mirror, I'm sure, at something coming pretty quickly in 3rd place there. Mark Martin now has caught Matt Kenseth running in 2nd.
He got a big run off of turn 4, but I can guarantee you that Jeff Burton's being very careful. He's running that high line. He's found a spot that the car likes right now. He's making sure that he's doing everything he can to be as easy on those tires, even though he's leading, to be as very, very careful to make sure they last a long time right now, because he knows
like
that
you
Mark's
do all the time.
Well, I try to. That's the way our car ends up being set up, but that's a very important factor for Jeff right now. He's going to have one more set of tires at the end of this race that Mark Martin's not going to have, so the longer he can make these things last and stay up front, the better off he's going to benefit from it.
And just if you're not familiar with it, in the NASCAR Busch Series, NASCAR limits the number of tires the teams can change under the caution flag. Today that limit is 3 sets. So in a 200-lap race, Martin has already taken 1 set at lap number 32. The other 2 guys still have extra sets left.
Well, if they go green like they are right now without a lot of wrecks, Mark Martin is not in trouble. But if they have a bunch of cautions, you could end up with that set of tires that he's already taken that you would need with a 15, 20-lap run to go.
Absolutely.
Mark has eaten up the interval between himself and 2nd place Matt Kenseth. We look back for Mark at Jeff Gordon's car. Car in trouble off turn 4. That's the Kenny Wallace machine once again.
Caution's out.
Did he hit something this time, Tony?
I think he definitely hit something. And that could have been from earlier. It may have broke something on the car that he didn't catch in the pit stop. It actually ended up biting him later on.
You can see the left front tire not even turning. It's just sliding along the back straightaway there.
Caution is out once again. 2nd yellow in a row involving Kenny Wallace. And the Missouri native having a very difficult afternoon here in the first 50 miles of this 300-mile chase. He's got some serious damage this time. Front end suspension just being ground off, or at least what's left of it, as he drags that left front corner along the pavement.
You have a sway bar and everything just in front of that tire up there that goes across the front end of the car, and that's all that sparks you're seeing. It's dragging potential suspension parts off as you talk there.
Caution at lap 33 for Kenny Wallace, having a problem over in turn 2. Now the caution at lap 47. Once again for Kenny Wallace, having the problem in turn 2. You know, if they can fix it and get him back out there, he could get the hat trick.
Oh.
That's brutal.
I'm sure he's not looking for the trick.
I was following the hockey playoffs.
He's going
last night.
into the garage now.
By the way, under the green, just before Wallace's problem, Jimmy Spencer ducked onto pit road for an unscheduled stop. Took on some tires, then blasted back out onto the racetrack just as the caution came out, and it has dropped Spencer 1 lap down to the race leaders back in 39th position. There you see Spencer's machine. former winner in Busch Series competition here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. There's Tommy Morgan, the crew chief for Jeff Burton's car. Pit road is open by that signal there. The question is, will Burton come in?
Yes.
Answer is absolutely.
He and Matt Kenseth couldn't wait for that green to come out, I can guarantee you.
Really, this is going to cost Burton a ton of track position, though, Tony. Explain that.
It will, but where it'll benefit him is at the end of the run.
Let's cover the Burton stop first. Mike Hogwood.
Well, it'll be 4 tires and fuel. Jeff Burton obviously very happy with the car, even refused a drink of water on this hot day. The crew, a smooth stop so far. Around to the left side. No adjustments on this car at all. Just 4 tires and gas. They've got a happy driver, and he's down and away.
See how happy he'll be when he finds out where he's going to restart in this thing. He is going to be back around 30th position. And Matt Kenseth beat him off the pit lane, so make it 31st. And Kenseth should be up around 30th somewhere. We'll check it when they come back around and file into line. But it is going to cost them a ton of track position that's going to be hard to make up. Mike Massaro has a summary for us on the Matt Kenseth pit stop.
Well, guys, a big break for Matt Kenseth. We mentioned the last round of pit stops that Matt had a miscommunication with crew chief Gary Cogswell. Well, he's able to make up for it this time. 4 tires and fuel, a good stop, and he's away. No adjustments. He's very happy with the car. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
Well, Mark Martin did not come in this time, and Jimmy Spencer did. However, he has a little bit of a vibration. Spencer back out on pit road.
So Mark Martin takes over the race lead when Burton and Kenseth make a stop under this caution flag. Mark's got an incredible record as far as leading races is concerned here at Charlotte. He has led 16 of the last 17 Busch Series events at this racetrack, and he's out front once again under caution at lap 47.
My dad was...
Fourth time in the Carquest Auto Parts 300 for the NASCAR Busch Series. Lowe's Motor Speedway at Charlotte. While we're under the yellow, let's go downstairs. Ken Squire and the newest member of our TBS racing crew, Jerry Glanville.
Jerry Glanville, who was out here just a week ago with the Automobile Racing Club of America, the ARCA competitors. How do you like this track?
Oh, I tell you, this is a very fast track, but what you don't realize till you get out here, it's very narrow, and you can't make an error because you're going so fast. You got to be right on track every time.
How'd you do out here?
Well, we got put to the back. We lost the motor. We qualified 13th, and we had to go back to 41st. We crawled all the way back to 27th, and it was over.
Well, let's see what we're going to do here as we get ready on a restart. Coming down after the 4th caution period. As they come by, they will be completing lap number 50, 75 miles down. Kevin Harvick, Kid Harvick in the number 2, changed only 2 tires and comes out in 4th place as they come down for the green. Pace car is in. Mark Martin to bring them. To 3rd on that restart.
We talked to Kevin earlier this morning, and he said he thought the car would be good. They had a lot of practice here, and I don't think you need those left side tires this early. He'll pick them up later on.
Remember that Grubb's car is a lap down. Here comes none other than Jeff Gordon, who's won on this occasion in this very race. Todd Bodine is quick, number 66.
Well, all the guys that I've raced against in the Busch, Todd Bodine is fearless. He's like a linebacker. He has more guts. Well, I guess him and Jimmy Spencer have more guts. You got 2 linebackers out there. Watch Todd Bodine. He won't lift. He'll take that thing. It's holding good down the bottom.
And look at Harvick, and coming with him is Jeff Green in the 18. He has made today. And they're back behind the wall goes Jimmy Spencer, a former winner in this event.
And he's the other linebacker. I think Todd Bodine and Jimmy Spencer, if you're a football fan, these 2 guys, they know how to put that gas down, and unfortunately Jimmy Spencer is out.
Jeff Green has been just sensational since the outset of this event this afternoon. He has worked and learned his way through the field, looking very strong. 50 laps complete, now 53 down, and you're riding with Jeff Green as he circulates down off the 24-degree banking. Heads into the back straightaway and into turn 3. That's a lap car on the outside. That's Grubb in the 37 and the 66 just pulling his way through.
Well, when you go into turn 3, it's a little bit different than 1. Turn 1 here is a lot of fun if you got good tires. You can take it down into hard. But that turn 3 is a little spooky.
Yeah, turn 3 will be a handful. No matter what you do to set up for turn 3, going into turn 1, you see right here, you can just set that car and let it fly. But going into 3 is a totally different circumstance.
Well, I told Elliott Saturday night, he said, how'd you like turn 3? I said, I don't think I hit the same line twice. Every time I went in, I was on a different groove, and you can see cars struggling. There's a car sliding all the way up right there.
There you see it, turns 3 and 4 here at Lowe's Motor Speedway with Martin in front, Gordon in second, Tom Bodine in third. Oh, we've got trouble. Spinning, looping car high in the corner. Darrell Lanigan, and the number 90 is in trouble another time. Mike Stefanik. Nose is off on the Stefanik car. Here comes your leader back to the stripe. Mark Martin pulling through, and this will bring out the 5th caution of the day. And look at the front of Mike Stefanik, the former national modified champion, and the 61 badly torn up as well, Darrell Lanigan's car. A hard hit, and you know the record for this race is 10 cautions back in '94.
I think we got that
pretty
big.
Hard on it.
Absolutely. And you talked about Mark Martin taking the lead. I think we should tell all the fans out there, today we looked at Mark Martin's tailpipes. They're the whitest tailpipes I've ever seen. So what that tells you is he's getting more oxygen than he's getting fuel into that carburetor. More than anybody racing today, he's got white tailpipes.
Running it lean. There it is, the number 60, Mark Martin. 44 times a winner in this Busch Series. His final year, 7 races to go after this. And you see walking away after a very hard hit out there. Mike Stefanik watching the 61 now to see the condition of that driver. Darrell Lanigan, who also thumped in. Both drivers out and walking about. Again, this is coming at lap 55.
They'll both have to get in the ambulance, and that's the rule. You have to go back to the infield care center. They take a look at you. I've been there, unfortunately, too many times.
Yeah. How many tracks have you run?
Well, when we in July, we're going to run Kentucky. It'd be a 100th different track.
There's the Grubb car, number 37 down. Let's take a look at some replays here, Jerry, of what happened.
Oh, got tagged in the back. Got a little bit of, I don't know if he got hit or if he just took the air off his spoiler. But something brought the rear end around, and that'll happen in 3 and 4. If you try to hold it down, it will go. Oh man, hit that inside wall, hit that safety water bucket there.
Stefanik with no place to go, just ran out of luck with a spinning Darrell Lanigan. Another look.
And we're talking about 3 and 4. If you try to pinch it down into 4, that rear end can come around. You got to let it ride up through the wall.
It's like a geyser out of those water barrels, and thank goodness for them, or Stefanik would not be walking away. More of the action from Lowe's Motor Speedway in the Carquest 300 after this.
Back at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Charlotte, Alan Bestwick, Tony Stewart, Buddy Baker in the Carquest Auto Parts 300. You look at our leaderboard, 58 of 200 laps are complete, and we are under the 5th caution flag of the race. Back in the garage, one of the drivers who we thought might be a contender to win today, Marty Snyder, is with the now out of race, Jimmy Spencer.
Well, yeah, and Alan, before the last caution, we said Jimmy Spencer had a vibration. What finally put you out, Jimmy?
Just, Marty, I mean, we were running really good, you know, and then we pitted, and I says, guys, there's something vibrating in the car, and we pitted again, put 4 more tires on twice, and it just vibrated so bad at the 7,000 range there that I really think that it was dangerous. So I think the smart thing to do is bring the Zippo Chevrolet in and park it. We're not running for points. I'm very upset about it, but I think I threw a weight off the dry shaft that sounds stupid, a yoke or something in the drive line. It's very bad, but we'll park it and come back some other time.
Well, vibration when you're up to speed is not a very fun thing Jimmy Spencer done today.
Can't be a fun thing.
No, well, the drive shaft is a long tube that goes from a transmission back to the rear end, and if it starts vibrating, it comes loose in the back part or even throws the drive shaft out. You talk about a big problem, that's one.
Yeah, especially if it happens going into the corner. Because you lose all the drive all of a sudden. It's a big distraction, and a lot of times it's hard to get it gathered back up because of that.
Tim Fito has had some problems today, getting damaged in one of the earlier accidents. We've had a lot of them so far. 5 cautions in the first 59 laps of the Carquest Auto Parts 300. coinciding with Mark Martin, the race leader, as he is less than a lap from the restart in this Carquest Auto Parts 300. Hey, Monday and Tuesday, catch the East Division leading Atlanta Braves taking on the Chicago Cubs from historic Wrigley Field in the Windy City. Catch all the Braves action on the Superstation Monday and Tuesday. They have waved off the restart. Pace car will stay on the track in front of the field. So while we have the opportunity, let's get an update from pit road with Mike Hogwood.
All right, Daryl Lanigan is here. Daryl, driver of the 61 car. And Daryl, could you tell us what happened in the wreck? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. That second set of tires we put on, we loosened the car up, and that car got on the outside of me going in the corner, and it just took the air off my spoiler and spun around.
How much is the wind a factor today?
Wind's a little bit of a factor. It's not a whole lot. Of these cars here, you got to be right on the edge anyway, so it's not too bad.
Alan?
Hard hit for Daryl Lanigan, Mike Stefanik as well. Lanigan had come from 35th starting spot to 17th before being involved in the accident that has put him out of this race. Kenny Wallace is behind the wall. Jimmy Spencer's behind the wall. Lance Hooper is behind the wall, as are the cars of Hank Parker Jr. And Jay Sauter. Dave Blaney also spent time behind the wall as we look down from the Circuit City aerial platform. Just checking, Blaney and Sauter have come back onto the racetrack, and they have rejoined the event, though many laps down. Just about 100 miles into this 300-miler, and it has been absolutely brutal so far. We've had 23 laps of caution so far in this event. And taking a look at the rundown now, Jeff Green, one of the main stories of the early going, started 26th. He's moved up to 4th. Kevin Harvick.
Ward Burton already up to 8th.
He started back in 34th position. Kevin Harvick with 2 tires on his pit stop a little while ago to get some track position. He started in 39th position. There's Ron Hornaday has moved up well. And we look down through the rest of the field as the field comes down to the green flag, and we go back at it once again. Mike Skinner has lost 3rd gear on his car. Our pit reporters told us during the caution flag, so he's struggling to get up to speed on this restart.
He is, but Tony and I were talking about that, and I think what he did is start off at 2nd and drop it over into 4th gear, and really he's back up to speed pretty quick.
Skinner there in 22nd position as we look ahead from the Glenn Allen car. Kevin LePage going around the outside. He'd been as high as, what, 3rd earlier in the event.
Yeah, he'd been all the way up to 3rd, and we were talking about him catching the leader, and all of a sudden he just faded, like maybe the car wasn't handling the way he wanted it to.
Mark Martin's the race leader. Jeff Gordon is 2nd. Todd Bodine 3rd. Terrific race for 4th. That's Elton Sawyer trying to get around the lap car of Kevin Grubb and see if he can do something with Jeff Green in the 10 car.
Oh, Joe Nemechek in trouble in the 87.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. nipped him in the back bumper. Look out!
I don't think he hit anything.
Get it started up.
Brian Patty, Nemechek's crew chief.
Spins it around. After 4 tires, he'll go back around probably and then come in the pits, take on 4 tires.
Fine, you didn't hit anything.
You've never been told that in a race car, have you, Stuart?
I think that guy might be my spotter.
Great job.
He has to calm me down a lot, and that's the hard thing. He knows he's got to get it started and get back around before everything.
Mike McLaughlin caught a piece of that. That's not good. Yellow fever is the way to describe this race so far. Not even at the 100-mile mark. We're still a lap and a half away from that. This is the 6th caution flag.
Tremendous amount of damage to the sheet metal of the car of Mike McLaughlin. The wheels look in pretty good shape, but the sheet metal definitely has really gotten hurt.
Nothing major, you look good.
Conversations continuing between Nemechek's spotter, crew chief, and driver to try and assess the damage to the car. Looks like a couple of other cars got some damage in this.
Okay, right there, you see Joe Nemechek coming down in the corner. He gets tagged from behind from Bobby Hamilton Jr. in this car. You can see he gets by. Nemechek, no contact whatsoever. Now everybody else is trying to figure, where should I go? Lucky man there.
Jeff Burton there on the bottom, he had to make a big move to the right-hand side again to get by.
Great driving. A lot of guys right there. The field was so tightly bunched on that restart. We could have damaged a lot more cars that ended up getting torn up. A lot of heavy physical labor to be done on the Mike McLaughlin machine here.
They have big pieces of tape all over there, fixing to put it on the front of the car, trying to just close off the holes there in the front of the car so they can make it somewhat aerodynamic. But that car is not going to drive good from here on.
No.
Jason Leffler's in. Joe Nemechek is in. Mike Massaro.
And the team has swung around to the right side, going to work there. Some right side damage. They're also taking on right side tires. Now they'll swing around to the left. It looks like it's going to be a 4-tire change for Joe Nemechek. They will not make any adjustments on the chassis. They'll also top it off with 2 cans of 76 racing fuel. A little bit of a hang-up on the left front tire. They'll correct it, though. He's finally down and away.
You barely see the nicks on the back of that car. He did get into the outside wall, but not enough to hurt the car, I don't think.
So Nemechek will rejoin the fray. Though because very few of the lead lap cars pitted under this caution, he's going to be a long way behind the leader, Mark Martin. Field going to get the signal, 1 to go, and they come to the start-finish line this time. 200-mile-an-hour tape Band-Aids on McLaughlin's machine. Effect of that on his car now. Is he just riding for points the rest of the day?
Well, there's no holes in it. It's not going to be as slick as it was before, and it's probably going to be a little bit more drag, but he's still going to have pretty good downforce with that.
Even with the tape and the wrinkled fenders?
With it filling the holes, it'll definitely keep the downforce in the car.
Before we go back green, let's take a look at the full field for you now. Just at the 100-mile mark, you see Mark Martin out in front. Jeff Green has moved up from 26th to 4th. Bobby Hamilton Jr. having a solid run in 7th, despite the little run in there with Nemechek a minute ago. Ward Burton started back in 34th position. He's up to 9th, and a good run for Ron Hornaday so far into the top 10.
Yeah, I talked to Steve Meal this morning about Ron Hornaday's car, and he says the car is really good. They just had a problem with the shock system, and that's why he qualified so poorly.
Matt Kenseth and Jeff Burton stayed on the racetrack where the other leaders pitted at lap 32. That's why they're back in 15th and 18th spots, respectively. They had fallen back to 26th and 25th on that restart a little while ago. Kevin LePage in the top 4 earlier, lost some track position. Phil Parsons and Randy LaJoie made an early pit stop. Now you look at some of the cars involved in this most recent incident. Joe Nemechek, Mike McLaughlin, and cars involved in the crashes earlier in the race that have gone behind the wall or spent time behind the wall and had some problems earlier. I want to take another look at the incident between Joe Nemechek and Bobby Hamilton Jr., this time from the car of Hamilton Jr. They were racing into turn number 3 and racing for the 7th position at the time, and here we go.
Down into turn 3 as they head in there, Tony. You've been there before. Don't take much.
No, just two guys running 2 different lines according to what their cars are like. Nemechek started high and went down, and Hamilton's car wanted to run up, so they both just ran 2 different lines.
100 laps complete in the Carquest 300. We're back under the green flag, and Mark Martin is in command of this event. Third car in line is the Kevin Grubb machine. He is a lap down. He's back in 35th position.
I just noticed a piece of debris they ran over, and they kicked it up on the back straightaway over there. Certainly hope it didn't cut anybody's tire, but there was definitely something on the racetrack in the middle of the back straightaway.
That double wide pack coming at you is for 10th and 11th spot. Blaze Alexander's inside in the 81. That's Ron Hornaday up top in the blue and gold number 3. Into the race, 5 lead changes, basically back and forth between Jeff Burton and Mark Martin, all of them 6 caution flags. It has been a very slow pace, only a 96-mile-an-hour average because of all the yellows. 37 of the 43 starters on the speedway at this point, and we are a third of the way through this event. Watching Matt Kenseth and Jeff Burton now try to come up through the fields. Here's Kenseth trying to take the 12th position away from Dick Trickle.
It's Jeff Burton you see right behind it. I guarantee you probably will not see those 2 be separated by very much there. They will definitely work together to try to get through the traffic as efficiently as possible. Jeff has the luxury of riding behind Matt. Matt's going to open up all the doors, and Jeff has the luxury of just following through.
Now, if you wonder what those little things on the front of that car that are going back and forth, that's where they have the front taped off for downforce, and that's where they grab it and jerk it off as the car runs hot.
11th place, Blaze Alexander. will be the next driver that the Kenseth and Burton cars will try to pass. Here's Dave Blaney back on the speedway. He's down in 40th position. Mike Massaro has an update on this machine for us.
And Alan, the reason for that is because he had to come back in. You saw a few laps ago his altercation creating some cosmetic damage. Well, it's a little bit more extensive than that, some internal damage as well. The team had to fix right side shocks, and they're also checking the brake lining. There may be some damage there. Alan?
Blaney bounced off the wall in turn 4 back at lap number 15. Spent a considerable amount of time behind the wall making repairs. Well, Mark Martin with Jeff Burton and Matt Kenseth kind of making the different strategy move earlier. Has a fairly comfortable lead right now, as comfortable as anyone has had all day.
Look at the varied lines that everybody's running through the corner there, Alan. There's nobody really satisfied with where they're on the racetrack except for Mark Martin. He hadn't varied a half a car length since he took on the new tires.
That's normally bad news for everybody else. When that car's that good, he can stay on that line all day. It means his car's driving very, very well.
All the caution flags that we've had early in the event, how will they affect strategy? Burton and Kenseth, remember, stayed out on the racetrack a pretty good bit longer than the leaders did. Well, all right, let's come back to that in a minute. First, let's check on repairs to Mike McLaughlin as he's back on pit road another time.
Alan, first time around, they took a baseball bat to that front right. Now, as you see, they're putting duct tape there. But Mike McLaughlin is very dejected in the car, says the car is overheating badly. He's not sure it's long for this race, but they're going to give it a try right here as you see them going feverishly to work on the front right of that 48 machine.
Lousy luck has been the story of Mike McLaughlin's season so far. It has not been the story of Mark Martin's season, nor his day today. He's out in front, just past the 1/3 point of the Carquest Auto Parts 300. Riding with leader Mark Martin as we come back to Lowe's Motor Speedway Charlotte, just past the 1/3 point of the Carquest Auto Parts 300, live on Superstation TBS. Mark has opened up biggest lead anyone's had all day. On second place, Jeff Gordon, 2.011 seconds. It's what it's up to now this last time by. And Mark has got it going on right now. Difference in strategy between Mark and the Jeff Burton and Matt Kenseth cars. Started to talk about it earlier when Mike McLaughlin made the dive down pit road. Burton and Kenseth stayed out on the racetrack on a lap 32 yellow, and Martin pitted. Then 15 laps later on another yellow, Burton and Kenseth stopped, dropping back to 26th and 25th position respectively. They are now tearing their way back up through the field. Burton around Kenseth in the 6th position. Matt in 7th. Actually, they're about to take 5th away, 5th and 6th from Elton Sawyer as he gets shuffled to the outside line. Make it 4th as they go up underneath Jeff Green. Boy, they're really on a tear. Marty Snyder can add.
Well, I don't think Mark Martin and his team are too worried. I just asked Tony Lambert about the car, and he said, actually, it's just now coming in, if you can believe that. So they think they're going to open up this lead even a little more. Tony said it takes about 30 laps for Mark's car to come in, and after that, one of the other drivers told me this morning, Mark, after that point, is about a 1/10 and a half faster than everybody else, including his teammate Jeff Burton. So even if they do wind up catching him, they might not be able to get around him.
Trash on the grill there on Martin's car. We saw in the shot. Tony, you were pointing at the monitor in front of us here.
Well, it probably won't be too big of a factor, but that will heat the oil. The oil is on the bottom half of that radiator, and that's plugging up a big hole right there.
Well, it is, and if you notice, the lower part of that grill opening there is taped over, so that hot dog wrapper that he's picked up there is not helping matters, I can guarantee you. I don't think it's enough to really hurt him, but it's not going to help anything.
Sure.
There's the piece of paper that has been picked up on the grill of Mark's car. Now, Burton has moved up to 4th, Kenseth to 5th. They've got 15-lap fresher tires as second spot changes hands. Todd Bodine to the outside of Jeff Gordon. Bodine to 2nd, Gordon back to 3rd. Back to the Martin and Burton and Kenseth thing for a minute. 15-lap difference on the tires. Big deal at this point?
Well,
I mean, Marty just told us Martin's team thinks their car's getting better as they go.
Well, not only on the tires by itself, but the fuel also. If this run keeps going on, there's 15 laps disparity there. If Mark comes in, they catch a yellow, then all of a sudden, big break for both Kenseth and Burton.
Next time we would have to see Mark, if the race stays green, would be around lap 100, since he pitted at lap number 32. Haven't talked about Todd Bodine much today. He's just moved around Jeff Gordon into the 2nd spot, kicking Gordon back to 3rd, but they're both chasing the man that everybody's had to chase when he's been in the NASCAR Busch Series this season, Mark Martin. We got the opinions of several competitors on Mark Martin and his success in the NASCAR Busch Series a little bit earlier this weekend. Let's hear what they had to say about trying to beat the all-time leading winner.
Mark's, in my opinion, the best Busch Grand National driver that there's ever been. He, for whatever reason, fits in these cars perfect.
I like to see when Mark Martin and Burton and everybody come over, you know, and if you beat them, you know, you've done good that day. But, you know, they're the guys, they put the mark up there, and that's what you got to chase for, you know. And if you can beat them on any given day, you know you're pretty good and you're ready to win some cup.
It's really hard to beat Mark Martin when he comes to the Busch Series. You know, when he shows up at the gate, everybody says, well, we're going to be racing for second now.
He goes out there and gives it 110%, and that's all he's got to do. That's why he wins all the time. On the other side, yeah, we're glad to see him go. Give somebody else a chance to win.
He's on a mission to win every race he starts, and I know if we can beat that guy, that we've had a great day.
I'd like to beat him before he leaves. He usually comes here and, you know, gets the best of our series, that's for sure.
We're gonna, you know, have a big party, I think, going away party for Mark. Get out of here as quick as you can.
Thoughts of some of his fellow competitors in NASCAR Busch Series events on Mark Martin, who has finished first 4 times in 6 tries this year. His other 2 finishes have been 4th and 6th. Wow. Now, Mark Martin feels like his success in the NASCAR Busch Series, while sometimes appearing rather overwhelming, has helped the division's big picture. We talked with Mark about that just the other day, and here's what he had to say about how he's helped grow the Busch Series.
I don't think that they need me in that sport or in that series anymore, and I think at a time, you know, my presence there was good. We brought high-profile sponsor to the series and set the benchmark. Winn-Dixie set the benchmark for all other sponsors to follow, and that opened the eyes to a lot of sponsors that, you know, wound up coming into the Busch Series.
Thoughts of Mark Martin, and the caution is out. It is Mark Martin, I believe. Is it Mark, or was he just locking the brakes up to let that car get its lap back?
I don't know, but he really did drop off the pace there. Todd Bodine almost got by him before he got to the line. I think he just backed off to let people get their lap back.
He was letting Jason Jarrett get his lap back. There is caution on the speedway. The report is there is, well, here it is. It's debris right on the start-finish line, just about setting right underneath the starter stand at the checkered stripe that determines who wins the race. There it is, piece of metal there. Well, not anymore. I wonder who just picked that up. That can't be a good feeling to hear something funk up under your car like that.
It's a worse feeling if you have to run on those tires for very much longer.
Well, they won't have to here. I expect we'll see everybody on pit road. Oh, there it is, just deposited a little bit farther down the track. It was curved a little while ago.
Now, what that is, that's that long piece of stripping that goes underneath the car there for downforce on the right side. They have it on the, in case the car gets sideways, so the air does not get up under it and lift it off the ground.
Yeah, and they do that. They sometimes use sheet metal, or they use a rubber strip like that. The rubber strip will grind off easier than the metal will. The metal will bend where that rubber will stay straight up and down, and even though it gets ground, it'll be all.
Here they come. All the leaders onto pit road. Stops as they complete the 91st lap of the event. Martin, Bodine, Burton, Gordon, and Kenseth will be the top 5 coming to their stalls. 45-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit. And here they come to the attention of their crews. Looking at the first 3 cars up in the top frame.
You can see them putting a round wedge into the Jeff Burton car on the bottom of the 9 there. They did make a wedge adjustment on it.
And don't let the fact that Todd Bodine's crew is behind the Martin and Burton stops deceive you. He's farther down pit road than they are. Burton's away. He got out ahead of Martin. Here comes Bodine out, and who's it going to be off pit road first? It's going to be Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon's going to come off pit road first, followed by Matt Kenseth, then Todd Bodine.
Oh, look at the tire going across pit road there. Everybody missed it for some reason.
Somebody will be back to pay for that.
Yes, they will.
You cannot let that tire roll across pit road. Somebody will be coming in for a stop-and-go penalty as soon as who it belongs to is identified. You know, if we keep that camera on that tire for long enough, somebody's going to have to make the guilty walk out across the grass and claim that tire. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. The officials pointing out Mike Massaro.
Well, Alan, the reason why you see that tire rolling across pit road is because it got away from Bobby Hamilton Jr.'s crew. The Busch Series officials are already over there pointing fingers, letting them know that there is going to be a penalty assessed as they retrieve the tire now from the infield grass.
Official there saying, you do have to go get that. You can't leave it there.
Yeah, that was called the point of shame.
Yeah.
That is yours, and you do have to bring that back.
Now, Jason Leffler is going to take over the race lead, staying on the racetrack under this caution. We'll be back with the restart in just a minute. Spotter Stan helping his grandson Jason out in today's Carquest Auto Parts 300. Pace cars off. We're set to go racing. Watch the lead car, Jason Leffler, the black machine left of your screen. He's got no third gear on this restart.
So that second gear right there. Watch him drop back now.
Leffler did not pit under this caution flag. Jeff Gordon got off pit road first. He's going to quickly get the lead from Leffler.
The only thing that saved Jason there was the fact that there was only one car a lap down, so he knew he had a problem. As soon as the lap car got by, he tucked down, gave the leaders the right of way on the outside.
That car that was a lap down is the Kevin Grubb machine, the 37 that Jeff Gordon is putting once again a lap down. Let's get an update on what happened on some of these pit stops during this last caution. Mike Hogwood.
4 tires and fuel for one Jeff Gordon, but the big concern was on the grill. There was some rubber and a piece of paper. The water temp inside the 24 car was 230 degrees. It was causing some concern here. They're hoping it'll cool down now.
Let's get another update from pit road to Marty Snyder.
Well, Mark Martin came in that time, and the longer Mark runs, the better his car gets, but they got a little too tight the longer he ran that time, so they did a wedge adjustment hoping to loosen him up for later in the run on Mark Martin. And Mark has obviously with a very fast race car, but again, the long runs are the key to his deal. Now down to Mike Massaro.
Well, the weather creating some havoc for Todd Bodine as the sun goes in and out of the clouds. It's creating a tight condition, especially when it's behind the clouds. The sun pops out, it gets a little bit loose. So what they did is made an air pressure adjustment, 4 tires and fuel for Todd Bodine, also an air pressure adjustment and 4 tires for Matt Kenseth at this end of pit road.
So that's some of what happened on the pit stops under the caution flag. New leader, as you saw, Matt Kenseth by Jeff Gordon. Todd Bodine racing there with Mark Martin for the 4th and 5th spot. And up front, here comes Jeff Burton to the outside.
Jeff Burton like a rifle shot on the outside, right by Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon's got a problem getting into turn 3. I've noticed the car jumping sideways as he starts to enter that corner.
Right about the spot where the bumps actually start in turn 3, you'll see him go try to get down to the white line, but he can't hold it there. It starts moving around, and as soon as he hits those bumps, he has to move the car up to make it comfortable again.
That spot right there, Tony was just talking about, Buddy as well. Now the race for the lead shapes up between Kenseth and Burton, who had lost track position earlier by not pitting under the first caution flag, and now have to try and make it, well, had to try and make it back up. This time they've got the track positions back. They're making pretty good use of it.
And Jeff Burton able to make that high line work for himself. He goes to the outside there. Not much you can do when a car is working that well. You can try the outside. But look at Gordon now. I was talking about him loose. He's not worried about it. He's diving right back in there. That's his weak point right there, getting in.
Mark Martin looks up between cars for a minute. Now he'll follow Jeff Burton back around. The last thing in the world I'd expect to see is Mark Martin going 3 wide.
Are you kidding me? He's a lot braver than we always talk about him doing everything exactly right. Let me tell you, I've watched him in certain circumstances. He'll push the pedal.
Circumstances being much closer to the end of the race. Halfway next time the leaders come back.
You're right on that one.
And let's see who's going to lead the halfway lap. Can Burton get a run on Kenseth off turn 4?
He's got a great run, but Kenseth is running a more precise line. But
he might do it. He might do it. Kenseth by a couple feet at the start-finish line, but here goes Burton the long way around for the race lead.
It'll be interesting to see if they try to keep this pace up now or if after, whoa.
What did you see we didn't see?
It's a TV thing.
It's a TV thing, yes.
Jeff Burton now back out in front. as far back as 26th earlier. And here comes Mark Martin around the outside of Kenseth to grab second.
Now, if I was Matt Kenseth and I had the race car that he has right now, I'd follow that 60. If he went in the pits, I'd go in with him, I think, because that's the car you're really going to have to worry about all day long. But out front, I talked about him earlier, Jeff Burton, he's got a great race car today.
Mark Martin has won this race the last 2 years. Here's Jason Jarrett. We talked about grandfather Ned being up there helping Jason out. Jason needs help probably more than Ned can provide right at this point. Let's get an update from pit road.
Well, you're exactly right, Alan. His back is burning up in the race car. He's really hot. He's going to have to get out. They've got Mark Green in the pits ready to go in the 11 car.
Jason is running in 33rd position right now on the lead lap, but he's a good bit behind.
Let's explain why his back's burning up. The oil tank is just behind the seat, and a lot of times it really heats up the back part of the seat, and it'll burn your back. It'll actually blister.
Dick Trickle off the pace. 16th place car. Listening in to see if he communicates anything to the race team.
On 240 on water when it happens, so what's like so hot. Back on 240 out there.
240 degrees on the water temperature. That's a good indication motor trouble.
It boils at 220, so that's not good.
So Dick Trickle comes down pit road and has to get it back in the pit box, but there'll be troubles there, and probably see him back behind the wall shortly. And Jeff Burton has moved out on Mark Martin. Not a lot, but he has moved out some. And while Burton continues to try and extend his lead over his teammate Martin, let's go back down to pit road. Mike Hogwood is with Dick Trickle's car.
The problem appears to be terminal, Allen. It is a motor problem. The motor is shut off, not firing it off. And Dick Trickle sits inside the car and waits, but from the looks of the crew here, it looks terminal.
Trickle going to join Darrell Lanigan, Mike Stefanik, Jimmy Spencer, Kenny Wallace, and Lance Hooper as drivers retired from this Carquest 300. Jeff Burton is the race leader. 105 of 200 laps are complete. There's the top 5. We're coming right back to Charlotte.
I've had that.
That's what happened to be in Houston.
Back at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Charlotte, the Carquest Auto Parts 300 for the NASCAR Busch Series. 109 laps of 200 complete. We're just past the 150-mile mark. Take a look at our Winn-Dixie mid-race report as we watch the Winn-Dixie car of Mark Martin flash through the frame in second spot. You see Jeff Burton, the leader, after 150 miles. 9 lead changes. Yellow fever in the first part of this race. 7 caution flags in the first 91 laps. Average speed slowed by all those yellows, and 36 of the 43 starters are still on the speedway. Lead lap cars at this point, we've still got 32 of the 43 starters on the lead lap, and I guess the story at this point in the event would be that the interval that Jeff Burton had built up over Mark Martin is rapidly going away.
Yeah, we got a report from the guys down in the pits there. He's catching him 1/10 of a second a lap. It won't take long, and where he's really gaining is in turns 3 and 4. He's able to maintain a low line through that corner where Burton's car goes up the racetrack.
Riding with Mark Martin here as he tries to chase down his teammate Jeff Burton. Joe Nemechek was involved in a spin earlier in the race at lap number 66. He spun in turn 4 after getting nipped by Bobby Hamilton Jr. Somehow managed to avoid hitting the outside wall more than just a scrape. Fell all the way back to the tail end of the lead lap, getting tires and kind of regrouping. And he's worked his way all the way back up to 10th spot. Mark Martin closing and closing and closing on Jeff Burton.
Yeah, but the spotters have already told Jeff Burton he's catching you in the bottom part of the racetrack. He's varied his line now. He's running very similar to the same line as Mark Martin around the racetrack, but it's not helping. Martin's coming on.
No, it's not helping. Looking at the Jason Jarrett car, let's get a further update on his situation. We told you a minute ago he was looking for a relief driver, Mike Hogwood.
Well, we're with Mark Green now. Mark, you are going to get in the car. When are you going to get in?
We're going to try to wait till we get a caution. Jason stayed on the lead lap, so we don't want to give that up. He's just getting a little hot in the car, and we're going to try to relieve him.
Are you going to do anything to stay cool in there?
Well, they're going to put a fire blanket in the seat. The seat's probably a little big for me anyway, so that won't hurt anything. You just get a lot of heat under and back of the seat.
Mark Green getting ready to go in the 11th car.
So there, the further update on the Jason Jarrett situation. Mark Green being recruited. He did not qualify for the race. One of 14 drivers who are here unable to make the field.
I saw Jeff Burton there in 3 and 4. He moved back up to the high side. I think he's searching right now.
Yeah,
he knows Mark's coming, and he does not want to give up that lead.
Here's a race for the 6th and 7th spot. Jeff Green on the move, trying to get the position away from Ward Burton. Green in the yellow car, down low.
See, Ward just rolled out of the throttle and let him go there. He could watch Green catching him and realize there was no point in making a big issue out of it right now. Gave him a little racing room.
Jeff Green started in 26th position. He stormed up to the 4th spot in the opening 20 laps as a challenge for the lead off of turn 4.
What's this? Mark Martin taking the lead? Yes. Down into turn 1. It's not over yet. He just floats that car into the corner, though.
We told you he was catching Burton and catching him and catching him. Well, the catching's over. He is caught and gone by, and Mark Martin has reestablished himself in the lead of this event. There's the Martin team looking down on pit road. That's Harry McMullen in the red shirt, one of the team managers for Roush Racing, sitting atop the pit box.
And this guy back here, that's Jack Roush, the cat in the hat.
Here's Burton going to look back to Martin's outside to see if he can get the lead back. Not this time. He'll follow him once again up off 2. Now they're in lap traffic. Mike McLaughlin damaged in one of the earlier crashes. McLaughlin running back in 34th spot. Now going 4 laps down to the race leaders as they go by him.
I'm just watching Jeff Burton right now. He did drop back in the 2nd spot there, but he seems to have just as good a car as Mark Martin. He may be playing Mark Martin's game here where he's taking it easy on the tires right now.
That's scary, too, of these guys playing these games. I got to worry about this all day tomorrow, so I'm not looking forward to that.
The 2 of them are running about 4 seconds ahead of the 3rd place car, Jeff Gordon. So they've got a very healthy advantage all to themselves, and maybe a little time to play around, if you will, and check each other out. Take a look at some people who've been moving up in this latest section of the race. We're on the longest green flag run we've had all afternoon so far. We've been under the green flag since just before lap 100. We're at lap 118 now. Here you see Joe Nemechek moving from 26th to 13th. He's lost a couple of spots in the last couple of laps. There's Dick Trickle falling out of the race with the engine problem a moment ago. Chad Little just came back down pit road because they left a tire out beyond the halfway point of the pit box on their last pit stop, and that's a penalty. And while we were looking at that, the lead has changed hands again.
Yeah, Mark Martin just rolled out the throttle and said, I think I'll watch you for a little while and take care of my tires.
He ran hard enough just to see if he could get back up there. Now he knows what kind of car he's got, and he's just going to sit back there and ride again, it looks like.
Pit stops came with 90 laps complete, 110 to go. So if we were to not see the caution flag for the rest of the afternoon, there'd be one more trip to pit road for everyone. If we were to stay caution-free, it comes somewhere around 30 to go. Leaders tangling in turn 4. We're coming right back here from Lowe's Motor Speedway in a moment. Relief driver Mark Green, after that car being very, very hot inside, the oil tank behind the driver's seat transferring heat through the generally aluminum seat that the drivers sit in. And Jason Jarrett needing to get out of the car and give way. Now, while we were away in the commercial break, Mark Martin and Jeff Burton have traded the lead twice. Martin going by Burton just as we went to the commercial, and then Burton back by Martin one more time. Here's Burton reclaiming the top spot.
Look at him, though. Just pull over and let Burton just go by on the straightaway. That's aggravating when you're thinking you're really racing somebody and then just pull over and then drop in behind you.
Down to pit road, Marty Snyder.
Well, I talked to both Tony Lambert, the crew chief for Mark Martin, and Tommy Morgan, the crew chief for Jeff Burton, and said, why are they changing the lead back and forth? They said, they both said they think they're just playing games to see who's better out front, who's better behind, because they want to check out from everybody else. And if they can do that, and we can run green the rest of the race and maybe have another set of pit stops, they could maybe wind up way ahead of everybody else, and that would be they could decide the race between themselves. So they think they're playing games just to see who's better out front and who's better behind.
I'll tell you what, they have checked out from everybody else. The two of them 4.5 seconds ahead of 3rd place, Jeff Gordon. Take a break. Come back with more of the Carquest 300 in a moment. Speedway Charlotte live on Superstation TBS. Don't forget, later on this afternoon, it's coverage of NASCAR Winston Cup Happy Hour. As my broadcast colleague for now, Tony Stewart, goes back to his day job of being a race driver, and he'll help lead us through as final preparations are made for tomorrow's 41st running of the Coca-Cola 600. Watching here, a race for 11th and 12th positions between Ron Hornaday and Kevin Harvick. Hornaday in the 3, Harvick in the 2, and Harvick's going to make a run up the outside of turn 4.
Hornaday went below the white line, getting in the corner there, kicked the car around the back end, stepped down a little bit, and Harvick got a little bit of drive on him.
Hornaday started in 36th position. See, he's worked his way up to the 11th spot. That's Lyndon Amick in the 35. He's in this race for position as well, as is Joe Nemechek right behind them in the 87. So we're looking at 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th here. Mike Massaro can update us on Kevin Harvick's day.
Well, Alan, an interesting note on Kevin Harvick. We got the chance to speak with him last night at a function away from the racetrack. He was very disappointed with the way he qualified. They had tested here just a couple of weeks ago, but when qualifying came out, the weather arrangements were so much different that the setup that they gathered from the test, it wasn't any good. So last night they changed everything on the car except for the paint scheme. They said it would race very well. It has. This car's been up as high as the top 5 earlier this afternoon.
This is Glenn Allen on pit road. You see the official standing in front of the car. That will be a penalty for speeding entering pit lane, exceeding the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. After they finish work on the car, he'll look at the wristwatch, see up there just under the rearview mirror. 15 seconds later, he'll wave him on. Jeff Burton, your race leader, has moved away from Mark Martin. Now looking ahead from Mark's car, there's Jeff way up there. That's as far as he's been away from Mark in a while. There's Randy LaJoie, running back in 20th position. LaJoie started the race in 37th. You see his scoring serial on the day. He's just gradually picked his way to the middle of the field.
He got hurt in Loudon, New Hampshire not long ago, and I talked to him this morning in the garage area, and he says, I'm not even close to being back healthy yet. He said, you know how you feel when you have too much water to drink? That's how I feel inside. He said, I really hurt.
Took 2 very hard crashes this spring. One at the end of April at Talladega, and then the one at New Hampshire just a couple of weeks ago. Looking back now from Jeff Burton to the widening gap between himself and second place Mark Martin,
which is now starting to close a little bit again. So it just depends on how they catch traffic.
Another round of pit stops to go. 65 laps remaining as well in our Carquest 300. Be back in just a minute to Charlotte. For the NASCAR Busch Series, being led by Jeff Burton. You're looking at him there. He's got a 0.3 of a second lead on Mark Martin, and he's working some pretty heavy lap traffic in the process. Trying to go by Phil Parsons there. Parsons trying to stay on the lead lap. He's back in 24th position.
And Mark Martin has closed in, and it's all because, you pointed out just a little while ago, it's because they're up in some real heavy traffic right now. And you see, you have to be very careful when you're going through these guys.
It's Jimmy Johnson in the 92, also going a lap down to the leaders. He's the 24th place car. Parsons in 23rd, being overtaken. Next up in front of the leaders will be Bobby Hamilton Jr., who runs in 22nd. He's that next car farther ahead of the frame. Now, Jeff Gordon is running in 3rd position, and we really haven't talked about him much in this latest segment of the race. That's Gordon in 3rd with Matt Kenseth racing him there for 4th. Gordon is 6.6 seconds behind leader Jeff Burton. Marty Snyder can update us more on Gordon's car.
Well, as most race fans know, Jeff Gordon's Busch Series team went through some changes earlier this year. Rick Hendrick bought out Ray Evernham's half of the team, and then they formed a relationship with the C.C. Welliver teams, which is Todd Bodine, Tim Fido, and David Green's teams. After Jeff Gordon finished 42nd at Texas, he said he was embarrassed. So they took a car from Tim Fido, a car from David Green, a car from Ricky Hendrick, and a car from Jeff Gordon, all to the wind tunnel. Rick Hendrick footed the whole bill. And the result was the car Jeff Gordon is driving today. In the wind tunnel, on paper, this car is about perfect. They love this car, and Jeff Gordon says it's the best car that this group has ever produced. He's very happy with it, but obviously still not good enough to keep up with Mark Martin.
Again, 6.6 seconds behind Mark Martin and the leader Jeff Burton, as we close in now with 56 laps to go in this event. Gordon feeling some pressure from Matt Kenseth, who's racing him there for 3rd and 4th. There's Burton out in front, kind of on cruise. Looking back at the point leader in the NASCAR Busch Series, Jeff Green, there he is in 6th position. Mike Hogwood has an update on Jeff Green's car.
Alan, Jeff Green has told his crew that he wants to be the best in class today. He says, boys, we just don't have anything for those Roush guys today or for the 24. But he has his eyes set on the 66 of Todd Bodine. That's all about the points chase. And he says, at this point, I want to finish ahead of the 66. That's his goal right now.
I'm going to tell you, in turns 3 and 4, Jeff Green's very lucky not to hit the wall. The car is very high.
Oh, Jason Keller clipping the grass there. Bottom left of your frame. Keller and Randy LaJoie racing here for 20th and 21st. David Green in the 34 is the 19th place car, just ahead of them.
And that's Casey Atwood on the outside there in the 27.
Casey falling back has just lost a spot to Mike Skinner, and he's going to lose another spot to David Green.
And the spotters are telling these guys, the leaders are coming, don't let him get a lap on you. You're running as hard as you can. Boy, that's aggravating.
There is the leader, Jeff Burton, snug up underneath Jason Keller's car here. I guess if you're trying to keep the leader behind you, blocking his lane on the inside is the best way to do it, huh?
That's the easiest way. He's too wide, but you know, Casey's going to fall back there, and it's going to make it a lot easier for Jeff to get by.
Been a big week for Casey Atwood on Thursday. The formal announcement of what has been rumored for months, that he will be the 2nd driver for Ray Evernham's Dodge factory team next season. And in all this traffic, Mark Martin has closed right in on Jeff Burton.
I think Mark's just biding his time right now. He just moves up when he needs to. But right now, Casey Atwood's making it very, very tough for Jeff Burton to have anywhere to race, because he's side by side now with him again.
Now, closing in on what would be the window for final pit stops in this event, if we stay green and if Jeff Burton doesn't lose his car off of turn number 2. Mark Martin by him for the race lead. Wow, that was what the road racers would call a moment.
That was a definite moment, but Mark just had one there also. These guys are getting a lot of laps on their tires. They're getting wore out, and that much traffic, you're losing a lot of downforce with a lot of cars around, so the cars are starting to get a little squirrely.
Yeah, even though they're teammates, they're going back and forth with this lead, back and forth. Sooner or later, you know, you can get in trouble doing that a lot of times, because momentum will carry you up there, and they say, well, I'm a team member, he'll give me a break. You turn down, all of a sudden you make contact.
Leaders all last pitted at lap number 90. We're about to put lap 150 on the board. They'll all have to make at least one more stop in the race. We expect it to come in the next 20 laps or so. Take a break here and come back before the pit stops in a moment. Jeff Burton and Mark Martin are the leaders in the Carquest Auto Parts 300 in Charlotte.
Don't let anybody...
I've heard people talking about it for, what, a year now, and I've never seen the movie. I guess I'll have to make a date next Sunday night, won't I? Jeff Burton is our race leader, 225 miles into the event. Take a look at the race summary. In the early part of the day, the story was yellow fever. We had 7 caution flags, and all of them came in the first 90 laps of this event. That slowed the average speed to 121 and change miles an hour. 36 of the 43 starters are still on the racetrack. And basically the story of the race is that Jeff Burton and Mark Martin have traded the lead back and forth between themselves about 11 times since lap number 1. Only 2 other drivers have led 4 laps between them through the course of this event. Now, final pit stops coming up. Marty Snyder, what are we looking at?
Well, we're currently lap 155, Alan. The leaders, as in Jeff Burton and Mark Martin, would like to stay out another 15 laps to lap 170. Now, a couple things that the crew chiefs have to keep in mind on this last pit stop. One, it has now suddenly gotten cloudy and cool on the racetrack. That should tighten up the track a little bit. But 2, with only 30 laps left in the race when we do make those final stops, a lot of these teams are considering only 2 tires, especially if it's under green, so we'll watch for that as well.
Now, why would they be considering 2 tires? Because it's only 30 laps to go, and they've made basically a full fuel run on this set of tires.
Because even though they have run through a fuel load, they still have rubber left on the left side. So with only 30 laps left, they won't use that much more rubber in that short amount of time.
And the reason that you take the 2 tires also would be because you won't need a full load of fuel.
Absolutely. So you can shorten up your pit stop and get out a lot quicker and have a lot more track position that way.
14th place driver Ron Hornaday just overtaken by the top 2. Let's take a look at the full field now. After 156 of 200 laps, basically it's been Burton and Martin trading the lead back and forth all day long. Todd Bodine, second in points, just ahead of the point leader, Jeff Green, 5th and 6th. They run. Kevin LePage was up front, fell back, has worked his way back to the front. And there you see Ward Burton started well back in the field. We haven't talked about Blaze Alexander all day. The Pennsylvania youngster having a terrific afternoon. Started in 7th spot. He runs in 10th. Looking at cars now that are just being overtaken by the race leaders, have been on the lead lap most of the day. Jason Keller started well in the back of the field. He has moved up into the middle of the pack. Bill Parsons, Jimmy Johnson just being put a lap down. Tim Fedewa involved in one of the many incidents in the first 90 laps of the event. Some damage to his car. Joe Nemechek spun off turn 4 earlier. Chad Little was penalized. Stop and go for leaving a tire out in the back half of the pit box. Mike McLaughlin damaged in a crash. And there you see some cars who were involved in some of the early incidents and are out of the race at this point. We'll come back for the pit stops in just a minute. Stay with us. Around. Let's cover the Jeff Green pit stop. There he is, getting tires and service.
You can see them peeling off the plastic on the windshield there. It's just like a tearaway on an open wheel car when they rip it off there. He's got a clean windshield now.
Stop coming with 37 laps to go. Here's Mark Martin on pit road. Second place car coming in to the attention of his crew. Marty Snyder will cover the stop for us.
Well, maybe just a little earlier than they would have wanted. The car was a little loose, actually, on that run for Mark, which is encouraging because the car is adjustable. They put some wedge in to try and tighten up the movement. And it is a 2-tire stop. We thought it would be 9.2, but they left the kickstand in the car. Mark Martin will have to come down pit road again.
Oh, a critical mistake. A critical mistake by Mark Martin's team. He'll have to come back in, and all the advantage they gained is gone in that one moment. Here comes the leader, Jeff Burton, for his stop. Mike Hogwood.
They are going to make a wedge adjustment on the car, going to the right side now. And again, they tear that cellophane off of the window to clean the windshield. They made a slight adjustment. It is going to be a 4-tire stop for Jeff Burton. Looked like there might have been a bit of miscommunication there, but the car is down and away, 20.1. Not as quick as they would have liked on the 9 car.
Here's the catch can hanging in the back of Mark Martin's car. He's going to have to come back to pit road. He went by the pit lane the first time back onto the racetrack. Maybe they were hoping that nobody would notice, but I believe they've already been told to come back in. So Jeff Gordon goes into the race lead. Let's go back to pit road and Marty Snyder.
Well, it's been a tough day for these guys. They had 2 stops earlier in the day, over 20 seconds. Tony Lambert was very angry at the crew, and he was telling them on the radio, we have to have a good stop this time, guys. And what makes it worse is earlier in the year, the same thing happened in Las Vegas, and it cost Mark the race there as well.
Ward Burton just bypassed by Mark Martin. Burton in getting service. Matt Kenseth is on pit road. Here comes Martin back.
And here he is. He's just going to pull the catch can out, and now they're going to hold him for a penalty. I guess it's speeding down pit road, and they are going to stand in front of Mark Martin as Tony Lambert goes out there to check. And now Mark Martin goes away, and very angry. Mark was not happy with the pit stop.
I believe there was a miscommunication there with the official standing in front of the car. The penalty was for Mark to come back in and stop and get the catch can removed. And the official standing in front of the car thinking he had to assess a 15-second penalty. I believe that was in error. I believe that was a mistake. So it goes. At this point, it's not going to make a lot of difference to Mark because making the extra pit stop is going to put him well back in the field anyway. We'll see where he cycles back out in a minute. First, Jeff Gordon, still on the racetrack, has not yet stopped. With everybody else pretty much among the lead group having come in, it puts Lyndon Amick up to 2nd spot. And here comes Jeff Gordon for his service. Jeff Gordon woeing down to the 45-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit. We'll see if he takes 2 or 4 tires. Mike Hogwood will call the Jeff Gordon stop.
There has been a lot of discussion between Jeff Gordon and Patrick Donahue. 2 or 4, that has been the question, as you said. Fuel is in the car, and it looks like it is going to be 2 tires. A 2-tire stop only for Jeff Gordon. He's down and away, 8.1 seconds.
Jeff Gordon is down and away and heads back up onto the speedway. Lyndon Amick peels off turn 4, comes to pit road. The 2nd place car will come in for service. As you see Gordon's team beginning to pull their stuff back over the wall. Here's Lyndon Amick, took over the race lead for a brief moment, had a solid run, worked his way up into the top 10 after starting in 17th position. South Carolina driver, winner of an ARCA Series race here at Charlotte last Saturday night. Ricky Pearson-led crew goes to work. Mike Massaro covers the stop for us.
And the team's already working on the right side, and whoa, a close call on pit road. Lyndon Amick tears out, but almost clips his front tire changer, but a quick stop for Lyndon Amick.
So Jeff Gordon will hold on to the race lead as a result of getting 2 tires on his pit stop. Jeff Burton is second, but he got 4, and he's a full second behind. Back for the finish in a moment. In the Carquest Auto Parts 300 at Charlotte, the new leader is Jeff Burton. He came off of pit road after getting 4 tires, 1 second behind Jeff Gordon. 10 laps later, he ran him down, and here's how he made the pass.
How good are 4 tires? They start down into turn 1. It's a mere formality now. They both go in the corner about the same. Now, when he gets back on the power, he just drives away from Jeff Gordon.
Now, 4 tires, yes, but Burton has had the better car all day. He's had the better car all day. And here goes Ward Burton back into the garage.
He's had a better car, but, I mean, you could tell they both got in the corner exactly the same. When they got back in the throttle, wasn't much to it.
That's unexpected for Ward, who was running in 8th at the time of his problems. We'll see if we can find out what happened to him when we come back for the finish in just a moment. As we look at Mark Martin trying to rally back from the extra pit stop for the catch can being left in the car. He has fallen back now to 6th position. He was as far back as 12th a little while ago, and he is trying to charge up. Caution. Caution's coming out. We have caution on the speedway. We have debris that has fallen off a car right here on the start-finish line on the front stretch, and we're going to see the yellow flag that's going to give Mark Martin a chance. This is going to give him a chance to catch up to leader Jeff Burton and maybe redeem a victory gone away.
You're exactly right. And the other thing, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jeff Gordon come in and get left side tires.
Mark was 14 seconds behind Jeff Burton at the yellow flag. It's going to allow him to close up to about 7 or 8 car lengths in a moment. All right, we've got 16 laps to go in the race. We need to get Tony Stewart out of here. We'll be talking to you in happy hour in a little bit. We appreciate you letting us bring you up here to the broadcast booth and having you on the broadcast today.
All right, Pi. We'll talk to you guys here in a little bit.
All right, go get dressed for your day job.
All righty.
Tony Stewart, he'll be our host and helping us through our coverage of Winston Cup Happy Hour that's coming up very shortly, right after the conclusion of our race here today. And now the question becomes, who pits and who doesn't under this caution? There you see Matt Kenseth's team airing up tires in a hurry. They're getting ready to bolt something on for a short run.
Yeah, you can see they had 2 tires up on the pit wall, so they're definitely planning on taking them on.
Right of the screen, that's Donnie Richardson, Todd Bodine's crew chief, trying to make a decision, I'm sure. Opening of pit road, what's Jeff Burton going to do? Burton is in. The leader is in for tires. With 15 laps to go, Gordon stays out on the racetrack.
He started to come in, changed his mind, and went right back out.
LePage will stay out. Jeff Green will come in. Kenseth will come in. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
Well, Jeff Burton is coming in mostly because he knew Mark Martin was going to come in. It will be a 4-tire stop for Jeff Burton. And they're going to also make a chassis adjustment on the left side. He liked those 4 tires last time. He liked how the car handled. They obviously thought they were going to have the race in their hands. Also, Joe Neiman, 15-8 for Jeff Burton's pit stop. Now let's go down to Mike Massaro.
And Matt Kenseth in as well. The team wielding around from the right side back to the left side. A 4-tire change here. They'll also make an air pressure adjustment. They'll go up on the right rear, and they'll send him away. Another good stop for Matt Kenseth.
Here's Mark Martin in getting service. He's going to get 4 tires as well. Marty?
And it was another long stop for Mark Martin, but they did get everything on this time. 4-tire stop for Mark Martin. The car was excellent. They think the 4 tires will help with this little short run to finish the race.
So Jeff Gordon stays on the racetrack and will take over the race lead with 15 laps to go. Mike Hogwood has a report from his pit.
Gutsy call from Patrick Donahue. Mark Martin's, Jeff Gordon did make the call. When they saw Mark Martin and Jeff Burton come on pit road, they decided to stay out. So we'll see how this play out with Jeff Gordon staying out on the racetrack. Remember, he's got old left side tires.
2 cars on the lead lap have stayed on the speedway. Todd Bodine, the other one besides Gordon. We're back for the sprint to the finish in just a minute. Carquest Auto Parts 300 for the NASCAR Busch Series. Down to pit road, Mike Hogwood.
Jeff Gordon just told his crew, guys, we did not come here to finish second. We came here to win. This is our only chance. Win on old tires? Well, his crew chief, Patrick Donahue, says, Jeff, if anybody can do it, you can.
We were going to go back racing this time, but they have just spotted some debris on the racetrack, so the pace car will stay out in front of the field, and they have dispatched one of the cleanup trucks to go out and retrieve whatever it was that has fallen onto the racetrack, and so it's going to be another lap or two behind the pace car before we get back at it. 12 laps to go as we come to the start-finish line this time. You're looking at Jeff Gordon, the race leader. We'll get back to the finish of this one in a minute. Just a quick reminder, tomorrow it's the 41st running of the Coca-Cola 600 here on Superstation TBS. Pre-race coverage, the wrenchhead.com pre-race show at 5:35. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the pole sitter, leads the field of the green flag at 6:05 Eastern. Jeff Burton's the defending winner and tries to score another $1 million victory. It's all on the Superstation tomorrow from here in Charlotte. Camera action for the Carquest Auto Parts 300 and the Coca-Cola 600. That's all this weekend at tbssuperstation.com. All right, Mr. Baker, let's talk about it here. We have a total of 8 cars on the lead lap, 1 on the tail end of the lead lap. Eldon Sawyer's in front of Jeff Burton, so he's going to, in front of Jeff Gordon. So he's going to be on the tail end of the lead lap. Mark Martin's going to restart 6th in line, plus the lap cars to his inside. Does he have a chance?
He does if he gets a good break, but the one thing working against him is the lap cars there on the inside. That's the preferred line, getting around in these corners and making up on the lead car. Jeff Gordon's going to do everything he can, and we're down to just a few laps left here.
There will be 11 laps to go when they come to the stripe. There's Jeff Burton. He is 3rd in the running order, 4th on the racetrack behind Eldon Sawyer, who's on the tail end of the lead lap. The leader, Jeff Gordon. In 2nd place, Todd Bodine. 11 laps to go. Time to settle the Carquest Auto Parts 300. Green flag is in the air. The 2 cars double wide in front of the leader, Jeff Gordon, are both now on the tail end of the lead lap. That's Kevin LePage low and Eldon Sawyer high.
And Jeff Gordon's got nowhere to go, and the 9 car of Jeff Burton is now closing up just behind him there. The 2nd car behind Jeff Gordon, the 9 of Jeff Burton, looking for a racing room. Here he comes up the middle.
Burton going for 2nd on Todd Bodine. Bouncing back and forth between cars as Matt Kenseth muscles his way to the inside as well. Burton to 2nd.
I'm telling you right now that Jeff Burton's car looked like a rocket ship from the center of the corner off. Those new tires are working for him.
Gordon leads. Burton is 2nd. Kenseth is 3rd. Can he sneak up there and steal the win?
Matt Kenseth looks very strong right now, looking to the inside of Burton as they come off turn 4 and down the front straightaway.
Oh, trouble. Tagged. Eldon Sawyer tags Kenseth. He spins. He's going to come back across the track in traffic. Oh, he just barely misses him. Caution is out.
He's back underway right now. No contact by other cars, but a lot of damage to the right front corner.
Here comes the race back to the caution flag. Burton is inside of Gordon.
Gordon just drove it on down in the corner with no respect for it at all. But now we have Jeff Burton coming back.
New leader as they come to the stripe with 8 laps to go is Jeff Burton. Wow, what a twist of events here. A frantic scramble trying to get through traffic to the front for final positions in the race. Matt Kenseth gets tagged by a car on the tail end of the lead lap and crashed. And while they race back to the caution flag, Jeff Burton passes Jeff Gordon and takes the lead. 8 laps to go. We will get this one restarted. Don't go away. Anything could happen in the final laps. Was racing for 3rd position. You look at his heavily damaged car on pit road getting repairs as we get set for the final laps of the Carquest Auto Parts 300. This has been a wild race. This is the 9th caution flag on the day. We had 7 of them in the first 91 laps of the event. The crew working on Matt Kenseth's car there. You see Jeff Burton's crew looking on, hoping he can hold out for the final laps. Let's take a look at what happened here. Kenseth was racing for the 2nd position, trying to get Jeff Burton for that spot. They came off turn 4. The 98 right of your screen is Eldon Sawyer. He was on the tail end of the lead lap on the restart.
He just gets tapped right there. He cut across trying to get the edge there coming out of the corner. Got tagged into the outside wall.
I don't think we can blame that one on Eldon Sawyer. It looked like Matt might have come across the front of it.
He was trying to catch the 2nd place car. You can see right there. He held his line. Couldn't do a thing about it.
And Matt is along for the ride there. Oh, and Hornaday just missed him. Just missed him, and that would have been big. Here's a camera that we used to have up until a couple of minutes ago. Anyway.
Hi, y'all. Wow.
We'll be calling the insurance company for that one on Monday. Tuesday, excuse me. It's a holiday Monday. So Matt Kenseth going to try and limp out the final few laps. Even though he's a Winston Cup driver, his team is running the full Busch Series schedule, wants to keep Robbie Reiser's owner points up. And so Kenseth will try to make sure he finishes on the lead lap, which if he does, will get him a top 10 finish. Now, we're getting set for the final sprint to the checkers. There are going to be, it looks like, 5 or fewer laps to go. Jeff Burton got the lead, racing back to the caution. The guys behind him, Gordon and Bodine, have older tires. As they come to the green, can anybody get him?
Mark Martin's in fourth place right now. You can see him right there, the fourth car there in that line. And he has a great car, but does he have time?
5 laps to go. Green flag is out. Gordon puts the bumper to Burton, trying to make some running room underneath him.
Now Mark Martin needs to get by Todd Bodine coming off the corner here. You can see him drop to the bottom. They're side by side down the back straightaway.
Martin getting third from Todd Bodine. Remember, Bodine has older tires than Martin does. Gordon has older tires than Martin does.
Jeff Green coming right along with Mark Martin in the yellow car there.
Green by his championship rival, Todd Bodine. Jeff Green to 4th spot. Bodine back to 5th.
Jeff Green down in turn 1, right on the white line, following Martin, not giving up any real estate to him either.
Now Martin must deal with Jeff Gordon for second as Jeff Burton gets away. He can't mess around long behind Gordon if he's going to have any chance at all.
Here he comes. He's making a move on the inside off turn 4, and Green right with him.
Martin to second. Now Jeff Green will try and get third. Meantime, Martin, you look ahead. He's got some ground to make up if he's going to have a shot at Jeff Burton for the race win.
Jeff Green now taking over 3rd spot as they come off turns 2 and down the back straightaway.
Jeff Green around Jeff Gordon. So the point leader up to the number 3 position. Matt Kenseth has brought his car onto pit road. He's going to the garage, so he'll not be able to limp the final couple of laps around to try and get a top 10 finish out of it. Kenseth is done. And there are now 2 laps to go.
Mark's got a great car, but I tell you, it's going to take a great car to catch Jeff Burton. As he comes off turn 2, the car looks like it's glued to the bottom of the racetrack.
There's Kim Burton looking on as Jeff tries to score his first NASCAR Busch Series win here at Charlotte. Remember, he won the Coca-Cola 600 1 year ago. But his best finish in Busch Series competition here has been 4th on a couple of occasions. Farther back, here are Kevin LePage and Elton Sawyer racing Kevin Harvick for position. This would be for the 7th, 8th, and 9th spots as the white flag is down. Final lap for Jeff Burton.
Jeff Burton has about a 15-car length lead on Mark Martin as they head into turn 3.
He fell back as far as 26th with an out-of-sequence pit stop in the early moments of the race, roared his way back to the front, and he's going to pull the upset today as he comes to the striped checkered flag for Jeff Burton. He beats Mark Martin and ends Martin's victory streak in this May race here at Charlotte. We said at the top of the broadcast, a lot of folks in the garage were telling us this morning that Jeff Burton had the car to beat his teammate. He has done it. As Mark pulls alongside to offer congratulations, Jeff Burton, the winner, will go to victory lane when we come back to Charlotte in a moment.
Jeff Burton headed for victory lane for the 12th time in his Busch Grand National racing career, defeating his very best friend in racing, Mark Martin. What a tremendous finish in this Carquest Auto Parts 300 as we prepare for the 600 tomorrow. And Burton and Martin will be right back at it again. Well, let's go to Mike Massaro in victory lane.
Well, Ken, sometimes when you own multiple cars, it's like rooting for 2 sons. And Jack Roush, well, your cars finished 1 and 2 today. Where was your heart at the end of the race?
Well, you know,
Jeff Burton had a great car. How about that Northern Light car? He had a great car today. Winn-Dixie car was great too. You know, we had a tough day in the pits. We left the catch can in, and we didn't have our tires quite right there for that last stop, and really put Mark at a disadvantage. We're going to do a little better in the pits, but it's not clear that Burton didn't have the best car, and we're real lucky to finish second with Mark. But that's the way it is. When you got multiple cars, you only can have one winner, and you're bound to have at least one loser.
Well, Jack, another Busch Series victory for Roush Racing. This time it's Jeff Burton to Marty Snyder.
And Jeff Burton sitting in the car getting a cold drink of Gatorade is going to climb out. Victorious here at Charlotte. Wife Kim standing right beside him, and there you go, Jeff. His crew congratulating him, and his crew spraying Gatorade on him now. Jeff, let's talk about the last 5 laps there. That let the field get right up to your bumper. Were you worried about your teammate Mark Martin the most?
Well, of course. He's the master at this Busch racing. Coke tastes good, but it sure doesn't feel good in the eye. But he is the master at Busch racing. He's the best one that there ever has been. And I knew he'd make a charge at us. But these guys did a great job all week with this Northern Light Ford. And just real proud of them. We've really struggled here. Ran well the last race here, and this time we finally got it together.
The decision to take 4 tires on the last stop, was there any other possible decision?
You saw what I saw last weekend. I wasn't going to come in and put on 2.
Well, Jeff Burton, before today, his best finish at Charlotte was 4th. Before today, he had only led 16 laps at this racetrack, but he wins here at the Lowe's Motor Speedway.
We'll take a commercial break and be back with more of the story of this Carquest Auto Parts 300 at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Stay with us.
We're with the third place finisher now, Jeff Green. Jeff, what a come up through the field today, starting 26th, finishing 3rd, and your body shows it. You're a little tired here.
Yeah, I was just fighting a loose condition all day, and man, Harold and them guys, on that last green flag stop, he got it tightened up, and we was good then. And when that last restart got going, we got on tires. That was a great call for Harold and the guys to get us in and get tires and give us a shot at Mark and the 9 car, Jeff Burton. But last couple laps, as soon as I got around Todd and Jeff there, man, my stomach got feeling bad. And I think I threw up everything I had in my stomach and in the race car. But it was a great day for us, and Nesquik Chevy's awesome. These guys are awesome, and I'm very happy to be in the Busch Series.
You talk about a tough finisher. He was tough today, and he still has the points in the Busch Series lead. We'll be back at the Lowe's Motor Speedway in a moment.
You're inside the garage area here at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Charlotte, North Carolina. Marty Schneider is down there right with one of the principal cars for the 600 tomorrow. Let's join him.
And with a very disappointed Matt Kenseth, who had a top 5 car, take us through the wreck and what happened, Matt.
I don't really know. You know, we came and put tires on there, and there was a couple of cars up there that wanted to start on the outside line, even though they're on their tail end of the lead lap, and you know, they weren't going to get a lap back with 11 laps to go and win the race. So they were just in there racing, and you know, I was told I was clear when I came off the corner and came down through the tri-oval, and somebody just hit me in the back and spun me out. So just the way it goes. We had a pretty good run going there. There's no way anybody's going to beat the 9 and the 60, but other than that, I thought we could have finished 3rd or 4th. So had a good day doing. It's just too bad it ended like that.
A little disappointed. Matt Kenseth getting ready to practice his NASCAR Winston Cup Series machine. Now let's go to Mike Massaro.
And Mark Martin now collecting his thoughts before he gets in his Winston Cup car for happy hour. And Mark, it looked like you had the car once again here to beat this afternoon, but some problems on pit road. What happened?
I don't know what happened on pit road. We had some problems there, but you know, Jeff Burton really probably had us beat today. He just outdrove me, and we'll just have to try to get him next time. He was really strong.
Coming into the race, Mark Martin had won 4 of his 6 events. Now it's 4 for 7 to Ken Squire.
Getting ready for the final shakedown, the happy hour for Winston Cup. That's coming up on the Superstation next. Stay with us. Bill Elliott standing by, getting ready for this final testing period before the 600 tomorrow. Let's take a look at the final results in this $800,000 race today. Burton comes home victorious. Mark Martin, his teammate, right with him. Jeff Green, a brilliant run up into 3rd spot. Jeff Gordon back to 4th as we look further down. Kevin LePage finally wound up in 7th. Blaze Alexander had a very good run, and he concluded the day in 10th spot. A little further back, you see Lyndon Amick in 11th when it was over, and Ron Hornaday getting 12th, while David Green finished up in the 13th position. Further down in the standings, Buckshot Jones had himself a 17th place finish. And Matt Kenseth wound up in 30th after that dramatic moment here in the tri-oval area on the double dogleg main straightaway portion of the track in that green number 17. Further back in the field, as you look at the results from today's Carquest Auto Parts 300, Chad Little in 31st. Mike McLaughlin had a pretty good run going. He got beaten up. Jason Jarrett, he got badly burned on his back. Ward Burton had a great run for a while, ended up 34th. And then you get into some of the victims here today. Dave Blaney, who sat on the pole and had a crash. Well, you see Kenny Wallace out early. Hank Parker lost his second car in a big crash here today. We'll be back with more in a moment. Jeff Burton, the defending 600 champion, leaves victory lane in just a moment for happy hour as he attempts to defend his championship tomorrow. And what a way to start, with a prelude victory today in the Carquest Auto Parts 300. Jeff Gordon getting a little extra advice before he settles down for this last 1 hour run. There's Tony Stewart, who you heard earlier today. He's ready to go to work. So coming up next, wrenchhead.com will be presenting NASCAR Happy Hour. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Don't let anybody tell you, oh, this is...
The famous O'Connor tandem, David and Karen, still getting set to take on the cross-country course. That's David mounting his horse. He'll be on course when we return to Lexington.
Nothing challenges horse and rider as completely as does eventing. Day 1, dressage is all about precision. Day 2, cross-country is a test of endurance and speed. Day 3, show jumping demands strength and timing. Those skills make the Rolex Kentucky 3